Welcome to America's hottest talk line. Guys, hot ladies are waiting to talk to you.
Vinegar syndrome. Guys.
Next free.
If you only see one movie this year, it should be Frankenhooker.
I have a lot that I will be watching. I will be watching some stuff soon, okay?
Bye, runner.
And the drunken uncle who just will not leave, Runner, the original OG Runner.
That's new.
And this new one, and that's Air Force One.
Get off my plane. I think Sony paid you a bunch of money to talk about all their steelbooks tonight.
This is a movie I didn't think I'd like as much as I did. I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Debbie does Dallas.
They actually produced crew jackets. Like, the movie never went into production, but it's got a Delta Force 2 motion.
Hey, that works either way.
Oh, that's cool.
And then everybody asks about, what's it like being a part of a movie that bombed, or are you still talking about that? I said, look, I'd much rather be the leader of a squad in a movie than be the lead of a movie in the summer of '87 that no one remembers what it was.
Is anyone even there still? I don't even know.
Yeah, we're just listening.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I was like, no one's saying it. Like,
really
is anyone listening to the story?
Just for instance, they've got all sorts of stuff. You can never have enough physical media.
Hello, fellow followers, and welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene Vids. Rookie, the new Runner, Rookie, is working tonight, so he won't be on the show tonight. And Runner, the drunken uncle who wouldn't leave, is back at college. So tonight with me is Tom, my cohort, and Steven of Deleted Scenes. How are you doing this evening, Steven?
Fair to partly cloudy. How about yourself, Greg?
As I told you earlier, foggy and rainy. So,
Indeed.
yes. Tom, how are you doing this evening? Okay. Happens.
Paging Mr. Connors. Mr. Tom Connors. Why courtesy phone?
I'm going to go ahead and say hail to the chat. Thank you guys for waiting on us. I know we're running a little late, but we're here for you guys to have some good time. So with us tonight, we have Random Brad Creator. What's up? Giving us good vibes as always. And we have Brian Barth. Hail to you, Brian Barth. What's up, DJ Gravy Mix? Oh, yeah. Now we saw this when we was talking about this backstage. I'm not sure when Godzilla's -1 will get a 4K release. I think it's leaving the U.S. theaters this month. Or it has, I'm not quite sure, but I would assume after its theatrical run is over, probably after the Oscars and everything, we'll probably get news on the 4K. So that's why I see it. We'll see how it goes. And then we have Ace Hanlon. What's up, Ace Hanlon? How you doing? Glad to have you here with us this evening. And the chat jumped on me. And then we also have Style Section. What is up, Style Section? Yes, let's go Physical Media Crew. And F Best Buy as always. And then howdy, Psycho Not Your Daddy. Glad to have you
Now
as
it's
well.
Fuck Shout Factory.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That reminds me, because if we was going to talk about some of the new releases here a little bit, we got a couple new Shout and Scream releases in the titles. But what's up, Carl's Art Universe?
I hope they're garbage so I don't have to buy them.
One you might really kind of want.
I don't see anything coming up here.
I know Rolling Thunder is getting a 4K.
Oh, you mother!
Yeah, with Tommy Lee Jones and that, which I was going to buy the Blu-ray, but then now I don't know, because the 4K's coming. But what's up, Carl's Universe? I have not heard of War of the Arrows. Sounds interesting. Sounds cool. I like the title.
Sorry, I had to rage for a moment.
He's here.
I don't blame
Our
you.
special guest, all the way from Japan, Godzilla.
I just want to thank Oppenheimer for allowing me to live. And then we got Deleted Stevens in the chat. What's up? What is up, USRNG? I hope I said your name right. I think that's a new name tonight. So glad to have you here.
USRNG, yeah, I know.
Yes. All right, cool. Inverse Opinion, how you doing? Glad to have you here with us. Doba Fett, howdy to you. Art, speaking of Godzilla, I don't know why I just said guard, but Godzilla. RJ Godzilla 81, welcome. Glad to have you here with us as well. Anthony Draven, hail to you. What's up, Stephen Luther? Glad to have you with us this evening. And Dalton B, cheers to you. What's up, Tyrell 72? Glad to have you here. Live long and prosper. Let's see if I'm missing it. Hey, what's up, Tim Morrell? Glad to have you with us as well. What's up, Wicked Fanboy? Glad to have you here in the chat. Corleone Rogue, glad to have you here. Cool Gamer, welcome. And it looks like that's all. Thank you guys for hanging with us tonight. Hope you're here to enjoy some physical media. But yes, we did get a couple Scream Shout Factory titles announcements, sort of.
I'm not seeing these anywhere.
Well, I don't think they've actually been announced, but they're they're common. You know what I mean? It's like some scoopers have sort of leaked them when I guess ahead of time.
Okay.
But they're true. But if you want to know, it's The Faculty in 4K, comes from Scream.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and then we are getting Paint Your Wagons from Kino Lorber on March 26th with Clint Eastwood. Affliction is coming from Shout Factory with Nick Nolte and Spacek. What's her name? Sissy Spacek. And, James Coburn. Coming from them. Lost in Space is coming on Blu-ray. The movie with Matt LeBlanc in them is coming to Blu-ray from Scream Factory.
I think I like that shit.
Yeah. And then Rolling Thunder is supposedly coming to 4K from Scream Shout Factory. And then Changing Lanes is coming from Kino Lorber. On March 19th on 4K. The King Kong Steelbook from 1976 is coming. Now that's not Shout, that's Universal, right?
No, that's Paramount, but yeah.
Oh, Paramount. Why do I want to say Universal? I don't know why. Yeah.
Peter Jackson one's Universal.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, The Manchurian Candidate is coming to 4K on March 19th from Kino Lorber, the one with Denzel Washington and Meryl Streep and Liev Schreiber. The Umbrella titles that we're getting. We're getting Coffee 1973's with Pam Grier is Jackie Brown. Coffee from Umbrella on Blu-ray and Masters of the Universe on Blu-ray from Umbrella in a nice big set, kind of like the Mario Brothers set.
The most love it's ever gotten.
Yeah. And Tank Girl is coming from Umbrella. I think that's about it. And then we did. I don't know if we mentioned this, but the Warner Archive Collection is releasing a bunch of cartoons.
Oh yeah, that's right. I dropped some of that news.
Yeah.
We're getting a 10-pack of all the classic Hanna-Barbera TV movies, including things like Jetsons meets Flintstones and a couple of Yogi Bear and quite a few others. So it looks like it'd be a good one. Yeah.
And I believe that's it for upcoming releases. So
we also got a few more actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see here. We also got Moneyball and Captain Phillips coming from Sony, supposedly.
Oh, yes, right. I did see those. Yeah.
I think there's something else for some reason I feel like we're missing. The original Mean Girls.
No. Not my cup of tea.
No, but that's also coming. And did we say Born on the 4th of July, or was that last week?
I don't think we said Born on the 4th of July.
That's another fucking Shout title.
Really? I would peg Kino Lorber for that one.
Or no, maybe I'm wrong on that one.
You're probably right, but it feels like that should be a Kino title, probably.
It's not. It's not Shout.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't see the label on the side here. I don't have it listed here. So yeah, no, it's not Shout.
Interesting.
It's like a little arrow looking thing, but it's not Arrow. It's like an A on its side.
Yeah. Arrow's announcements are Friday.
Yes.
So we'll be getting those.
We did get some Criterion ones, but none of these movies have I ever heard of before. Except for
that's why I didn't.
Fight.
Yeah, that's why I didn't bring those up.
Even Dogfight, I barely remember.
Yeah. The Nicolas Cage Dream Scenario movie is coming sometime February 27th on Blu-ray, it looks like. I never did see that movie. I mean, well, it's new, but I don't see a lot of new movies.
It's been on
right
streaming,
away.
but I haven't seen it yet either. Yeah.
Oh, In and Out is coming on 4K from Kino Lorber.
yeah,
if you want to
that's
get that, yeah. So 355 is coming to 4K.
Oh,
Yippee from
Yeah.
Universal.
that'll be a
Yep.
bestseller.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think I'm seeing anything else new other than those. Is that no? That's not new. Well, Taxi Driver is getting a 4K steelbook in July. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's been out before, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that's about. I really do think that's about it as far as I can see from what I looked up. All right. Well, there you guys have it. If there's anything there that interests you in coming soon to Blu-ray or 4K, there you have it. So let's go ahead and get into the physical media of the Physical Media Show. Steven, since you're the new one here tonight, what's your first pick of the night?
All right. Well, this choice is inspired by my pal Big Al Presents, who is going to be featuring this title on his Films with Friends show this week. And that is Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
You know, I've never seen that.
It is a lot of fun. It is a throwback to the serials. Jude Law, he's Sky Captain. He's kind of like a Commando Cody type character. His ex-girlfriend, who's played by Gwyneth Paltrow, she's this photojournalist. These robots start flying over New York City, and all hell breaks loose, and thrills and spills. And it's a good antidote to all of the bad wannabe movies that we've been getting. If you didn't like the last Indiana Jones movie, check out Sky Captain. This is a movie that needs a 4K for sure.
I've never seen it, but I'll be honest, I'm not a big Jude Law or Gwyneth Paltrow fan. So that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, I shied away from the movie mainly just because at that time the technology didn't really thrill me. Like, to me, it looked exactly like what it is, shot in front of green screen stuff. Now I've heard the good things about the movie though, but I've just never actually watched it.
Right. But
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, my first experience with it, of course, was up on the big screen, and just that shot of the robots flying over the city, it brought a little tear to my eye. I'm going to be honest, because, like I said, it reminded me of like the old serials, and if you look at it, on that basis, I think you'll get a kick out of it. I know I did. So
cool. Yeah, just that came out at a time where I remember Jude Law was in like everything, and everything that he was making was flopping, and I just was not a big. I'm just still really not a big fan of Jude Law.
He was a little overexposed at the time. I'll grant you that. But he's not bad in the film. He's pretty good. Everybody knows what kind of a movie they're in, so they acquit themselves accordingly. To me, it was a fun one.
Oh no, I believe it, man. Yeah. I can't knock it or anything like that because I've just never seen it, and it really had nothing to do with the plot or the way the movie looked. But I do remember it being a lot of green screen and kind of weird looking at that time. But it just was basically, I was like, I don't really like Jude Law, so that's why I never went into it. But I'm glad that it feels like a retro serial type, because like I said, like Tom said, I've never really heard anybody knock the story or anything. It's just I know some people have always been sort of the visuals of the movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can't say much about it. Was it a 3D movie?
No,
it was not.
It was not.
It was not a 3D movie. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Anything else you want to say on it? I mean, you brought it on. You haven't been here for a while, so if you want to speak a little, I mean, just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean you can't speak a little.
Well, it is interesting, and it is as Doba Fett says in the chat. Laurence Olivier is in this movie.
Oh, is he?
Despite the fact that he was dead for a good 10 years before.
It was one of those
It's one of those, you know. But the way they use his likeness is respectful.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting. I think if he were alive or somebody like him, you know, like his era were alive, if he were alive when they did Sky Captain, I think he would have done the part. It would have been perfect for him.
Maybe.
It's good. It's good. Giovanni Ribisi's a lot of fun. He's kind of like Sky Captain's version of Q. He's always coming up with all the gadgets, and he gets kidnapped by the bad guys, and so that kind of starts Sky Captain off on this whole, you know, revenge. I've got to get my buddy back and take down the bad guy thing. And the whole time, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow is following them everywhere. And yeah, it's like I said, it's to me, it was a lot of fun because it reminded me of the serials. And you can almost see in the film, that's where you would have gotten to come back next week to see how he gets out of this one. You know, it is very much structured that way. And I think if you look at it in terms of, you know, it's the old Saturday morning serials, I think you can have a little bit of respect for it. You know, it worked for me.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I wonder if they would. I would say it'd be interesting if they made something like that today, but with the modern sensibility out there, I don't think they could make it. I mean, I'm sure they can make the special effects better. Well, not really, because we see CGI is worse now than it was like 10 years ago.
I mean, the one thing that is in the movie, and that they could probably get away with now, is Angelina Jolie's character is the commander of like one of those helicarrier type things like they had in the Marvel movies.
Yeah, the helicarrier.
Yeah. There is a helicarrier type aircraft in this movie, and Angelina Jolie is the commander, and the entire crew is women.
Yeah.
So that they could do today, but, you know.
Yeah, that would work.
Angie, you're up here with all of these women. Okay, think of you will. But I mean, yeah. Other than that, you know, but her character's a lot of fun too because she has this backstory with Jude Law and and they're making like all of these inside baseball references of all of these other adventures they've been on, and Gwyneth Paltrow does not have a fucking clue what they're talking about and feels left out. So that's kind of funny, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, is it a perfect movie? No, but it's, like I said, it's fun. So
cool.
I recommend it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again this week.
Awesome. Oh, good first pick there. See, that's why we do it. Is like we all have our different tastes, right? We all like what we like. So that's cool. Good first pick. Tom, if you're ready for your first pick, we'll go ahead and
sure. Why not? Where should I begin tonight? Let's start here. Okay, this movie I bought as a blind buy because of the price and the stars, and it's a Western.
Nice.
I don't know if I can recommend it or not. It was okay. The problem is it almost feels like maybe the director or something else got in the way of it being a better film, because they have I don't know why I'm wasting my time. It's called Stagecoach. It's got Trace Atkins, Judd Nelson, Kim Coates in it. It's called Stagecoach: The Texas Jack Story. And what the problem is it feels like a made-for-TV movie. They had the sets, they had the actors, they had everything they needed to make a really, really good movie. The story's there and everything, but it's just like falls limp a lot of the time. And it's not the actor's fault. It's not the set. It's not the clothing. It's none of that shit. It's just kind of the way it's shot and edited, and the music is wretched. Like the music feels like canned garbage they bought off the internet.
Yes.
I mean, and yeah, it's from this company called Nasser Group, and it's released by Cinedium or Diggum. I don't know how the fuck you say it.
Cinedime.
I mean, yeah, it looks okay, but I mean, it's like it feels like the director got in the way of a better film or something. I don't know how else to put it. Trace Atkins, a decent actor. He's this big, imposing dude.
Yeah.
Judd Nelson's all right in it. Kim Coates plays an excellent bad guy, chewing the scenery a bit, but overall, the other thing is there's the actresses in the movie are horrible. Like for one, now remember, like, was it here we were talking about, or is it somewhere else I was talking about, where too many period piece films, you can tell it's a modern woman and it just pulls you out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I don't think that was here, but yes.
Okay, well, Trace Atkins' wife in this movie is like got like dyed hair and other shit. It's like that bitch looks like she's straight out of 2017. There's no fucking way she's from back then. And then there's this other bitch. I'm sorry, and I hate saying it like this, but it's the honest to God truth. She's supposed to be a rough, gruff bounty hunter, but I'm like, no way a girl that good looking is going to be a bounty hunter. She'd be a whore or a showgirl. That's it. And you laugh at it, but at that time, to be you're that good looking, she could make a lot of fucking money. So I'm like, okay, that's the most unrealistic part of this movie.
And then that's what I liked about Deadwood is like with Calamity Jane. She looked like she'd be one of those women going around. Exactly.
That's what this bitch should look like.
And you saw in that, like, all the good-looking women.
Maybe you could get away with a Gina Carano type, right? Just maybe. Yeah. I mean, they try to uggify her up a bit, but it don't work. They give her like an eye patch and shit, if I remember right, and all this other stuff.
She's even hotter now.
No, maybe she doesn't have an eye patch, but they try to dirty her up and all that shit and make her look rough and like a fake scar or something. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work. It's just like, okay, whoever your casting sucks for the women, that's for sure. And a blind buy 6 is when you've never seen it, you've never heard of it, but you take a chance because it's either cheap or somebody or something about it like makes you think, oh, okay, maybe I'll dig it. It's like, that's what I miss about the video store, because that's kind of what the video store was. You drop into the section of like generally horror and complete blind rent, right? You just look at something that looks good, but you grab it. Don't care what it is, right? But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I miss about it too, because it's like certain movies that I've seen lately that I know are kind of getting a release before a streaming release. I kind of do that. Sometimes I will blind buy, like I did with Suitable Flesh, because it reminded me of like one of those movies you'd see in the back of the video store that nobody would rent, and it just interested you. You know what I mean? That's why I bought it, and it was awesome. But I get where you're coming from. I get why you would have bought that, because I would see something like that too, and I would think, hey, that could be cool to watch with my dad or something, a Western like that. So, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't definitely exactly define it that way, 6, but I can't not undefine it that way, where she says a blind buy is when you have money to throw away. Well, kind of, but it was like an $8 movie or something like that. It's a 4K.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, it's a Western. And that's the thing, is a lot of Westerns nowadays are straight to streaming type stuff. So you almost have to find those gems somewhere. I mean, even that Nick Cage one wasn't that bad.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Was that anything?
Yeah, I think I talked about it on here, didn't I? Or if not, I don't actually have the physical movie, but I watched it on streaming.
Yeah, he did a couple last year. Yeah,
kind of like Unforgiven meets. Trying to remember, but he's basically like an old gunslinger, and he's a family man now, and of course, shit hits a fan. And
The Old Way. Yeah.
The Old Way, that's the one. Thank you, Bryant. Yes.
Nice. But yeah, well,
I didn't hate it. And it is based upon a true guy. Now, I searched and I couldn't find anything in this guy's history that supports this specific story. The only thing that's true is like, yes, this guy used to be an outlaw, known as Texas Jack, and I believe he got his name because he liked Applejack whiskey, which is also in the film. But otherwise, the only thing that's kind of close to reality is, he had a change in life later on, decided to quit his old ways, et cetera, kind of thing.
right.
So, but otherwise, the movie seems completely fabricated. So, like in real life, he became a pastor and stuff later in life. But yeah, like they kind of hint at something like that. But like otherwise, it's kind of like, yeah, just a typical Western kind of story.
Yeah.
So is it trying to be a sequel to Stagecoach or any of the other versions of Stagecoach, or is that just like an name only thing?
I think it might be just a name because, well, the whole thing with the Stagecoach being in the name, as far as I know, unless I'm completely out of that's the first I've ever had anybody ask me anything like that. The basic story is, it starts out like years ago when Texas Jack and his buddies, like Judd Nelson and this other guy, who is like the worst fucking character in the movie. I mean, but you like to hate him, right? Because he is just a weaselly little fucker.
Yeah.
But like those three are stagecoach robbers. So the one day they catch the wrong stagecoach, and the guy they shoot in the eye ends up becoming the U.S. Marshal that's coming after all of them. And it's like, yeah, so they think he's dead. They leave him for dead, of course.
Right, yeah.
But and then a couple of years later, the Weasley one shows up and says, yeah, he's coming for us. He just killed this guy, the other guy in their group. There was 4 of them to begin with. And he's coming for us and blah, 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 blah. And he knows where you're at and all this shit. So, it's kind of like a little bit of an Unforgiven type of thing, but only the trouble comes to him kind of thing. And then, he's grown up now. He's got a wife. They're trying to have a baby and all this shit. And a series, I don't want to give all the way of all the events, but then the series of events leads him back to his life of crime and all that kind of shit.
Kicking ass. All right. Well,
again, like I said, the story is really decent. It's not an overly long movie. It's engaging enough. It feels like the director or some other people on the production kind of got in the way of making it a better movie. It feels very flat. Like they didn't really work on the, like I remember laughing because at the end of near the end of the film, there's like this shootout and it feels like there's nobody in the town at all. Now, of course, most of them are going to go like, most of them are going to go diving in somewhere. Right. But at least you show cuts of people like cowering through the window and shit. Like feels like a goddamn ghost town. Like it's like you could have filled. And then of course, afterwards, they fill it up with a few people, but it's like before that, you made it feel like nobody is in this town. You could definitely tell. And it's a Canadian film, so you can tell it's shot with probably Canadian government money and all this other stuff, and it's probably shot on some Western like ghost town set like thing, that they have up there, or whatever that they barely could afford to rent or something like that, or somebody owned or something.
That reminds me, they shot like where I live, up the road a ways is a like Western like. It's like supposed to be like a Renaissance fair, but it's a little Western, like 4 buildings.
Right.
They filmed a Val Kilmer Western there, like 2 years ago.
Well, that's the thing. There's only so many of these little Western towns left, is my understanding. So, like, a lot of the Westerns do use a lot of these same 2 or 3 sets that are still up or whatever, these little towns. And sometimes otherwise they're like little tourist attractions. Like, you guys have seen National Lampoon's Vacation where they go into a little Western town thing and all that kind of stuff. Same kind of thing. But back then, those were getting bought by people because they used to be owned by the television studios and shit. And then when they quit making Westerns, they just sold them off.
Right? Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like his ranch was like run ragged. Well, he was one of the guys who used to do the horses and stuff for, that's the way they set up the character for, in stunts and stuff or whatever for, Westerns and all that shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, that being said, no, I can't not recommend it, but I can't exactly recommend it. Like if, like me, you come across it and it's like under $10,
it'd be nice, but just as is. All right. Well, it sounds like you said the story sounds pretty good, but just it was probably one of those they probably thought it was going to be for like made for TV, and then they probably made it and thought, maybe we could.
It feels like a CMT kind of movie, but even a CMT movie puts a little bit more. It's really just the production value. I mean, they have all the stuff. Like, it's like if you to give me the same script, same actors, same sets, minus those fucking women, you know, all that kind of business, you could have still made a much more engaging, better looking film out of this. Because they've got everything there. It just feels like you plop down two people who probably had no passion whatsoever and are just literally going through the motions of this. You know, like, just get this movie out kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad for some of the people involved that were probably actually really passionate about it, because it is a decent film. And you can tell it's really low budget and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's probably like, you direct commercials, come out, direct this Western.
You can see some of the limitations in the cameras and stuff like that, but yeah, I guess at the end of the day, I don't know if I'd ever watch it again necessarily, but I'm not mad at myself for watching it, or I didn't dislike it enough to go like, oh, I wasted 90 minutes of my life.
Right.
You know?
That's why I bought a movie. It was called, I think I brought it on here once. It was on 4K. It was super, super cheap. It was called The Hurricane Heist. I can't say I recommend it. Yeah, I can't say I recommend it. It's a fun watch. It was only like, it may have only been like $8 itself, but if you find it $8, go ahead, pick it up. It's not, I mean, you'll have fun with it. I don't know if you'll want to watch it over and over, but you'll have fun with it.
I got a movie that way called Criminal with Kevin Costner and Gary Oldman, and I found a 4K for it for like $8 in a used bookstore. So I just did, okay, what the hell? I'll take it.
Yeah. Aussie Fan DVD says physical media. Yes, it still is a thing in the US. Probably more here than it seems like in Australia. So,
you know, I went to Best Buy today, believe it or not.
Oh, really, Runner?
Yeah, well, I did because I grabbed the Steelbook of Mario Brothers because I got some more in stock out of nowhere.
Oh, nice.
And like they had some other cheaper ones I didn't get my hands on, but I just wanted to see what they had there still. And actually got some video footage. They still had 3 full racks of movies at the one I went to. I was actually impressed. And I bought one movie they had there. But yeah. Otherwise, it was like, yeah, it's the last time I'll probably buy movies at Best Buy kind of thing.
Should have filmed it. You could have made a little
short.
I
filmed the store. I do kind of actually have like a plan to do something with it eventually, maybe, but yeah, something like that perhaps. But I didn't actually film myself in the purchase because a lot of it was just I got 2 things sitting back here that I pre-ordered or picked up online or whatever because they wouldn't ship them. I could only get them from the store because they're clearing it all out. Even a bunch of their spots for movies that were used to be there on Best Buy are gone.
Oh man.
Yeah, like the Conan one, I pre-ordered the dual box set just in case I didn't get the other one first. And it should be here, I think, next week, which will be early, but like the listing for it's gone on Best Buy. You can't find it.
Dang.
Like I'm still getting my order, but like you can't order it from them no more.
Yeah, it's good.
And a lot of their movies are out of stock now. Like, and this is I wish we had in between the shows, guys. You can still check. There's still a few on there, but they had a shit ton of Disney and Marvel and all the Star Wars movies, steelbooks, all for like $9.99.
Yeah.
One of the movies I almost picked up today just because it was $9.99, but they didn't have any left and I couldn't get it. Was Ant-Man, the new Ant-Man movie. I'm like, well, fuck, I don't want it, but I'm a completionist, and for only $10, I even bought Stupid Love and Thunder today steelbook for only $10.
Man.
That was the only one I could justify buying that they had there. Like otherwise, I was like, nah, no. And I got The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler because they had it on Blu-ray.
Really?
I don't have it on Blu-ray. Yeah. I didn't even know it was released on Blu-ray. I guess it quietly got released in 2021, but yeah.
I was gonna say I still have the DVD of it. I didn't know it was on Blu-ray.
I did too. I didn't either. I was like, I know it's on digital HD, but yeah.
Oh man, that's cool. But yeah, I have not been to Best Buy in forever, and I was thinking about trying to go there and maybe filming a little myself, but I don't know. I can't do the where all those videos of people like filming themselves in Best Buy.
I can send you some of the extra footage I got. I got quite a bit. I just went through the 3 aisles a couple times.
Right.
And
I just have the last time I went there, they just had something as soon as you walked in the door, and that was it.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Now they have this other thing there, and then on the other side of it's video games. And a lot of where the movies were before are now taken up with video games.
I'm gonna have to, if I can get down there sometime soon, I'm gonna have to get down there and film some to see what it looks like.
Now, other people I've talked to have said that they now even because even Runner said this. Remember, and I've heard similar stories where people have said sometimes you got to ask where their movies are because they'll say they're in stock, but they're not on the shelves because they're already moving their shit to the back.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and this is the other thing I noticed, folks. So this is cool. A lot of movies that they did have, I think they're clearing them out and then selling them to Walmart. Because I just picked up the Addams Family Steelbook that was going for like $80 or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
On eBay for a while because that was a limited Best Buy one. Well, they have them right now, and I don't know if they're still in stock, but they did when I bought mine last week. So there's a few of those popping up on Walmart now too. So keep that in mind. Keep checking in with Walmart. Their search isn't as good as Best Buy's though. I will say that because I can type in 4K Steelbook and Best Buy and pick certain options and I can get a nice list there. Walmart, it's a bit. They got a lot more shit at Walmart, so a lot more stuff comes through it. But you got to filter.
Their website's a little more harder to navigate. But I will tell you that I've actually seen that Steelbook at my Walmart I go to because they have a whole bunch of Steelbooks now. I mean, the aisle, the aisle is still small. I mean, this is what I was talking about. Like, it is not as what it once was there, but I've noticed that their selection has gotten better. Because now they have these, like they had the Addams Family there. They had Bone Tomahawk in 4K. They had a couple of the Scream Shout 4K Steelbooks and some other stuff there. And I was like, and the John Wick, they had the Highlander 4K Steelbook that, Best Buy had and all that. The ear one with the Reservoir Dogs. So I've seen them there. So like their selection is a little better. So I'm thinking that maybe they're starting to pick up a little bit of that. So we'll see. Looks like they'll be getting rid of Xbox games though.
Yeah, and that's where I'm curious how my Walmart's going to handle it because they still have the Xbox games, but they're right across, like directly the same aisle, but right across the way from the movies. So I wonder if that's going to get cleared out and they're going to put movies in there.
That's what I was thinking.
There's not a very big movie section in my Walmart. Like half of it's taken up with records.
Right, same sort of like this, like one aisle, one side's movies, and it goes movies and then records.
Mine is only half a section one compared to yours.
Well,
on the other side, like you walk down the aisle, and on the left side is all Xbox shit.
Oh yeah.
On the right side is movies for the first half of the aisle. Then it's all records and CDs for the rest of the aisle.
Well, that'd be. I mean, I agree that it sucks for physical games and gamers, but I'm also kind of interested to see if they move out the Xbox games if they fill it up with more movies. Because, like we said, they were trying to enter in a deal with the SDS, so we haven't heard much about that if it went through or whatnot. So we'll see.
I'm thinking it did.
It might have because they're starting to get a little more better selection. I mean,
that's what I'm thinking is happening. Is I'm thinking SDS is buying them back from Best Buy. And then selling them to Walmart, I think. Because for those who don't remember, we brought this up before, but Bill Hunt also mentioned this. Basically, when Best Buy and them guys would do all these exclusives, they would have to buy the entire run. Like, they wouldn't just, they like whatever the order was, that was why it was a Best Buy exclusive. If they ran whatever number, 5,000 of them or whatever,
Best Buy would buy.
Best Buy had to buy them all. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's why they would get stuck with them. But I noticed for a while there, they were like clearing some stuff out. And then all of a sudden their prices went back up. So I'm thinking that's what's going on. So I think that while they're still selling things, they jacked the price back up on most things except for the couple Disney titles and stuff that I'd mentioned. Because otherwise, I tried to get, there was a couple movies I was thinking, oh, well, maybe they'll be on clearance at Best Buy. Nope.
That's what I was waiting for, to see if like maybe some good titles drop.
You missed most of them already, basically.
Yeah, I think I did.
Because that Disney sale was probably the best one that they had.
Well, I noticed the Young Guns Steelbook 4K Steelbook is actually cheaper than the original, just the standard edition with the slipcover. So I'm probably gonna pick that up.
That one out then,
yeah. So. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to me. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it. So I kind of think I'll stick with a little bit of it's not a Western, but let's just say it's takes place in Texas. So, because I gave
Where all
it a
my
10.
exes live.
I give it a 10.
Oh, I have that. I should have watched it. Damn it.
Yeah. You'll see a theme tonight. This actually doesn't look too bad. I was surprised.
Yeah, from
being
what I
a
watched,
Paramount
it did
movie.
look pretty good.
Yeah, the whipped
It's an
cream
older
bikini.
scan from my understanding too, because I've had that on digital 4K for like 5 years,
Really?
or at least a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. It really doesn't look too bad. I've always really enjoyed this movie. I saw it when I was in high school, so you know you have.
Well, it
that
gives me
feeling.
hope for Footloose because Footloose looks like shit on the digital version,
right? Well, hopefully,
but we're getting that Blu-ray here soon. So yeah.
I mean, because with like we talked about with Paramount, love them or hate them, it is hit and miss. They do give us a lot of movies on 4K. It is hit and miss. This doesn't look too bad. This actually looks pretty darn good. The whipped cream bikini looks great. The teacher at the strip club looks great. The football games look great. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. I always like it. I saw this in high school, and watching it brings back because like I actually was a fan of James Van Der Beek on Dawson's because I liked the first season and a half of Dawson's Creek, and then I stopped watching it because it got really crappy and way too soap opery. But I did like Varsity Blues because it was like a fun movie, and stuff you really don't see in movies nowadays. When did this actually come out? It was like 90 what? 99. Yeah.
99. Yeah.
It takes place in 98, but to come out in 99. Yeah.
I mean, like,
I remember because the kids in the movie graduate the same year I did. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Because if you see all the signs they're holding up, it says 98. So,
yeah, 98. Yeah. I mean, John Voight gives a heck of a performance. Paul Walker is actually pretty good in this movie. I mean, they all sort of, they've. Who would have thought
teen movies were some of the best there was.
Right? Yes. Because this was really good. I mean, like you can still watch this, even like me being a 40-year-old man. I watch this and it still resonates with me. It's still like it takes me back.
We had
to
this. We had American Pie. We had oh shit! I just had it in my head. I can't remember the name of it now.
Can't Hardly Wait.
That's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah, Can't Hardly Wait.
Empire Records.
Go.
Go was good. Yeah, I haven't seen Go in a while.
I mean, we just had so many teen movies that were excellent and still hold up from the ones I'm seeing. Road Trip.
Oh yeah, Road Trip. I remember. Yeah, I remember. That. What is that? You skin a cheetah? Nope, those are her panties. They're like this freaking big. But no, I really. This has an amazing cast. Scott Conn, James Van Der Beek, Paul Walker, John Voight is just amazing as like the coach who's just an asshole. Ali Larder is, I think that's how you say his name, is great. The guy that plays Billy Bob, may he rest in peace, because he is dead now, sadly. Yeah. He's great as Billy Bob.
How many years ago was it he passed? It was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't too long. It was like maybe.
Wasn't long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dazed and Confused. I forgot about Dazed and Confused with it.
Yeah,
that was good. But yeah, I can still highly recommend. I can recommend this 4K, and I think this 4K is actually still pretty cheap. I think it's only like $20, and it looks pretty good.
That's another upshot of Paramount. Even though, like you just said, some of them are hit and miss. They generally are pretty good priced. It seems like even they may have been listening to us gripe over things like planes, trains, and automobiles, because I remember even since then, the prices have gone down by $5 on most of their 4K movies. If you haven't noticed, even things like Rosemary Baby, which rightfully should not be very expensive because it looks like donkey shit. Even that one you can get for like $12 now.
Yeah, and I do find it funny that James Van Der Beek actually lives in Texas now. Yeah, that's where he lives now. So he like went full circle in his career. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like there's something magical about those movies where like the 80s teen movies were great. I love them. You guys know I love 80s movies, but they were like with the 90s teen movies, they managed to capture a thing where it's not only just for teens, but also adults. And it kind of like still resonates. Don't get me wrong. Like I love The Breakfast Club and I love 80s teen movies. They're great, but they're not in the like, I get to watch them and laugh and enjoy them, but they feel more like they're made for a teen audience, where like the 90s teen movies were not only just made for a teen audience, they also resonate with the older people too. I don't know.
I'm sure those movies in the 80s spoke to, I mean, there's two types of films in the 80s, right? Like, and again, I don't know if these movies are the same way because all of us on this panel right now are roughly the same age. It'd be interesting to see what Rookie or Runner says about some of these movies. I mean, I think Runner said he likes the American Pie movies from memory, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the thing is in the 80s, you had two types of teen movies, aside from the slasher films, which we're not even going to count in this. You had your raunchy teen films and you had your nostalgia teen films. And yeah, this is kind of where, you know, like, so to me, there's some of those movies from the 80s that resonate no matter what. Like there's just things about them that they stay true no matter what time they take place in. Stand By Me, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, pretty much every John Hughes movie. John Hughes is one of those people that obviously understood the voice of a teenager.
Yeah.
Right.
And
those movies resonated beyond the 80s, but you had a slew of the raunchy Porky's ripoffs and stuff like that did not live on, like Private Resort and some of these other ones, you know, like just, no. But the 90s, you had, like we just said, the other ones we had to the point where they felt, and this is true, probably Six is probably right. There's probably people younger than us or older than us that just could not
get into
these films. American Pie maybe being the exception, right? Like that's one I'm sure there's a few exceptions. Varsity Blues might be one of the exceptions. Because I remember, I think my dad liked it quite a bit when it came out.
Yeah, my dad liked this movie too.
See, right? So it has that generational thing going on in it too, as far as the, you know, what the parents expect out of the kids and how football is treated in the film and the community. And what I felt about this movie was it was a better version of, God, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was the Program. It was a better version of the Program.
Yeah, I
know. See, the Program felt kind of like it was trying to be edgy for edgy's sake, to the point where they literally had to cut that scene out of the kids laying in the middle of the road. I don't know if I'm the only one who remembers that, but
yeah. I think I remember that. Yeah, I've seen the movie. I remember there was a little something about it, right?
They cut it out of the movie unless you saw it in its first run, like right away. You've never seen that scene, as far as I know.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I love 80s movies and stuff. I do think, like you said, I think you're right with like the John Hughes and the Breakfast Clubs. Those resonate the same way as like a movie like Varsity Blues or American Pie resonate, because they've managed to capture not only the teen audience but also the adult audiences, and that's why those movies live on so well. So yeah, I get that. But yeah, I do recommend Varsity Blues. It's a fun time. It's a fun time in a movie, and it's got some great stuff. And it's that they really couldn't get away with today in today's day and age. You really could.
No.
Some of this, like the kids in today's day and age, would see that, like the guy Scott Conn driving around in a cop car naked with naked chicks, and them saying some of the words. It's like they use a slur in that movie about another football player that they're going to face against. You know, they have stuff like that, like people falling in love and stuff. Like you don't see that in today's. Yeah, like with the teacher, even the teacher turns out to be a stripper and ends up drinking beer with them and hanging out with them there at the strip club. You wouldn't see stuff like that today, because we hear all the time that, studies show that kids today, teenagers today, only want to see platonic friendships and no love and this and that. And it's just like, no wonder movies suck worse more and more nowadays as they gear them towards the younger age than this. I guess it is like a generational thing. I guess maybe that is where we're at today. But I can't see a lot of people looking back on this eras of movies like we do at the 80s and the 90s movies, or even the 70s movies. I can't see that. But yeah, I do recommend Varsity Blues. It looks really good on 4K. It's not too bad. It doesn't really have any problems. Sounds great, looks great, and it's a fun movie. So there you guys. There's my first pick. I have a kind of a theme tonight, because there's like two movies, like Varsity Blues will sort of relate to another movie, then these two other movies I have will relate to each other. So yeah, I would say, even though I don't live in Texas, I do live in a small town, and it did capture a small town culture. It really did. Did. It did, yeah.
Especially the football culture and the way that, you know, a lot of those kids were treated, especially like where I was growing up, how, you know, the same kind of thing. Even though we weren't from the South, it was kind of similar in that respect. I mean, those kids always got away with everything.
Right. My nephew played football up here. They almost won the championship up here where they went. And now he's in college, and then my boy is in wrestling and football. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing in a small town culture. It really is. Uh, but there you go. There's that, and we'll move on to you, Stephen. What's your next pick of the night?
All right. Well, in an earlier segment, we brought up Nick Cage. And I happen to have a movie of his from last year. And this is Sympathy for the Devil.
I've heard about
with co-starring Joel Kinnaman. And Joel Kinnaman is his wife is about to have a baby. He's rushing to the hospital, and he gets carjacked by Nick Cage. And they go on this odyssey through Vegas, and you kind of wonder. They kind of play around with the idea of is Nick Cage's character really the devil or not?
Interesting.
I'm the devil.
The devil. He does a lot of that. It's the way he plays it is interesting because it's just as short of over the top. He pulls back a little bit, but he plays one of those characters where you don't know if he's going to shoot you in the head or start singing Elvis. You don't know. And he's kind of that way in this movie too. He's so unpredictable that you never quite know kind of which direction he's going to go. And by the end of the movie, you're not really too sure what Joel Kinnaman's character is going to do, because you actually find out without giving too much away, you actually find out that he might not be who he says he is either. So it very much, I think really a good way to describe it would be Collateral meets A History of Violence.
Okay. Interesting. I just want to hear the Peggy Sue Got Married voice again from Nicolas Cage. I just want to hear that voice again.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, I've actually heard some decent things about this movie, so it's one I haven't seen. So I was kind of interested in it. I was wondering because, like, I know the name was Sympathy for the Devil. I didn't know if it was is he supposed to be the devil or is he just like a bad guy kidnapping this dude? So, but I don't spoil it. Yeah, you don't have to spoil it. So
yeah. Like I said, both characters are hiding their pasts, and one of the things that the movie does is it kind of peels both of them like an onion, and as they said in Shrek, onions have layers, and these characters have layers, layers upon layers, and then by the end of the movie they have layers they didn't even remember that they had.
Reference with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
You're bringing out the big guns tonight.
Yeah, he's Nick Cage is basically this. He is a man on a mission. There's something that I'm being vague on purpose because I don't want to give too much away. He is a man on a mission, and he has a very short time to do what he needs to do. And when you get that way, niceties have the tendency to go out the window. And there's not a lot of please and thank you in this movie. Let's put it that way. You will drive me where I fucking need to go, or I will fucking shoot you in the back of the fucking head. Pretty much that kind of
Nicolas Cage acting like that.
Yeah. And but when they get to the denouement, when you see what he's up to and why, that's where the movie plays with you, because whose side are you on,
right,
by the end of the movie, and you might be surprised.
Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to check that one out. I've heard a few good things about it. I've been wanting to see it, so I'll check it out.
It's a good one. It's 90 minutes. And In fact, it might be a little bit under that. So it
That's
doesn't
good
waste
news.
it doesn't waste its time. Cage and Kinnaman firing on both cylinders, and most of the movie's pretty much a dialogue between the two of them, and then some poor bastard will show up randomly and get shot, yeah, it's a good one. Check it out.
I do like these movies that Nicolas Cage does like that. I mean, see, he gets crazy. I really enjoyed Mandy and Willy's Wonderland. So,
I love Mandy.
Yeah, Mandy's insane.
That is the perfect midnight movie. In fact, I will only watch that movie at midnight.
Nice.
I refuse to watch it at any other time of the day.
That is an insane movie, but it is what it is. All right.
And Elijah Wood was the executive producer, which is a weirder thing.
Yeah. It's weird. All right. Well, good second pick, Steven. Let's move on to you, Tom, if you're ready for your next one. If you're up for it.
Sure. This is a Kino Lorber Classics title.
Nice.
4K from 2002. It is a prequel, but it is one of those rare prequels that's only a prequel because the book was written first. And they didn't make that one until after the other ones. But I figured I might as well start the journey since now all three of the main films are on 4K. So I checked out Red Dragon, which I also have the old Blu-ray here too as well. I didn't even actually compare. I mean, this looks amazing. There's something strange about this, I will say. I wonder if... No, Phantom Menace was 99, wasn't it? Yeah. This would have been the year Attack of the Clones came out. The weird thing about this is it feels like, I wonder if Dino De Laurentiis didn't have the negative for this stored. Because this negative seems like it's in some... And I don't want to make anybody go, oh God, it looks horrible. No. It just has some elements going on with it that I'm like, I wonder if it was not stored very well. Because it seems a bit rougher than most movies that should be from 2002. But it's like very subtle. Don't like freak out like thinking, oh, it's horrible looking or something like that. I just noticed minor things going. I'm first of all surprised they didn't clean it up.
Yeah, usually you do a good job like that.
And it's fine. I mean, it looks fine. The movie looks great. It's just what it is there's white speckles going down once in a while on the one side of the screen. And I think it's just something from the way it was stored. Because otherwise I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And Universal, despite their fires and all that stuff, generally for their main movies, big movies, especially of the last 50 years, they generally have pretty much all the elements they need for and they're all here. It's all straight from the 4K or from the negative for the most part. It looks good. I just wonder if Dino didn't have the negative instead of Universal, because it is a Dino De Laurentiis film.
Right. Yeah.
So, but that being said, no, I mean, it's they carry over all the special features, it looks like, anyway, from what I can see here on the new 4K release. And yeah, I think it's a pretty affordable price, of course, from Kino, as usually is. As far as the movie goes, it just depends on how you feel about the story. Me personally, I actually like this story better than Silence of the Lambs. I know that may be sacrilege, but to me, Silence of the Lambs is basically the writer ripping himself off. Because I don't know if you guys have seen this one or not, or know what the story is.
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen, but I've seen.
It's about the guy who caught Hannibal Lecter, and then he uses him the same way that Clarice eventually does to catch another killer. And not only that, I think that the killer in this movie is infinitely more interesting than Buffalo Bill as well.
He's much more sadistic too.
Yes, and they did this already once as Manhunter, which is a very popular version of the story, but desperately needs a new release.
Yes, it's only
the old Shout Factory disc from back in the day. Well, most of it, and then the director's cut, most of it's from like an old Laserdisc print or something like that. It looks like ass. But no, overall, I can recommend it, especially if you find it on a sale. It came out, I think, a couple months ago. I just finally got around to it. Maybe I'll watch Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal for next week.
Nice.
Who knows?
I do remember Red Dragon being pretty good, because it did surprise me, because I had seen Manhunter, and I do like Manhunter.
Brian, it depends. If you're watching it with, like, if you want to watch a trilogy, it's better to have, to me and personally, I prefer Red Dragon. But if I'm just like in a mood to watch like a cool 80s kind of murder mystery kind of movie type thing with the way Michael Mann put Manhunter together, I mean, it's got a style all its own, really. So I mean, it's two different versions of the same story told pretty well. Now Brett Ratner, he's got he of course has the advantage of having all the same actors pretty much from Silence of the Lambs. So
Yeah.
do I like Hannibal? Well, you'll have to wait to find out.
I always liked that killer more than I know people. I like Silence of the Lamb, and I think Buffalo Bob or whatever his name is, Buffalo
Buffalo Bob. Yeah, I said Bill.
Yeah,
Buffalo Bill.
Is it Bill or Bob? Because like Joe Dirt is Buffalo Bob or whatever.
I think it's Buffalo Bill. But
yeah. But I mean, yeah, he's a great serial killer. But there was something like even in Manhunter and in the Red Dragon, because both actors, Ralph Fiennes and Tom Noonan, they're pretty fucking creepy as he's this character, as the guy who's transforming into the Red Dragon. So I think that's a much more intimidating serial killer that they have. And
with the whole seer change.
Yeah, and
like that whole scene is
on
just,
the back and everything, and just
and Ralph Fiennes as the Red Dragon is really good too. And I mean, because the original film is well casted too. You got what's his face from CSI playing William, and Brian Cox playing and Tom Noonan. You know, the great cast already. So I mean, it's tough to beat. But and again, this one doesn't beat it. It's its own thing. It's kind of weird because this one also revolves a little bit more around Hannibal, so you get other aspects of the book that aren't in Manhunter, right? So it's kind of I don't know how to explain it. William Peterson, thank you.
Yeah, it is a bit different because you think about it, because like you said, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal is a trilogy, so they all have like the same Hannibal Lecter, and they're sort of telling the story of Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
And with the Manhunter, it's telling the story of William Peterson's chase against the Red Dragon, Tom Noonan's character, with the really Hannibal Lecter is not really that important. Yeah. So,
shot like a Miami Vice.
I was gonna say it's kind of like Miami Vice, which I dig that. I dig that. I think it's
and tell me it's screaming for a 4K, going
right.
Please make me into 4K.
The colors
you want to
pop in that movie.
Oh, I know, and especially if they can dig up the director's cut too. That'd be nice. Yeah.
No, that would be awesome. Of course, it would be Shout or Scream Factory, sadly.
maybe Kino could get their hands on it. Kino's been a little bit more friendly with Dino De Laurentiis, and Paramount is doing King Kong, not Shout.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is I've had a lot of people talk to me about Shout in the last week or so since this all happened to me, but yeah. And like you had said similar things, like their company just isn't what they used to be. Especially, I also heard that when they got the deal with Best Buy, they got pretty big heads too. I heard.
I could believe that. I actually thought about doing a video knocking them.
They're really hurting now, huh?
Yeah, because I mean, I seen that one guy.
I saw a lot of Shout Factory titles at my Best Buy today.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because it's crazy. Yeah, like I noticed they're at Walmart now too. So like,
oh, are they the Lucky Duckies?
Yeah, the ones I saw.
I did. Well, that's true. Yeah, because I remember. Well, they did have a deal with Walmart for a while, but I don't think it lasted. Because I remember they had a deal for a while where Shout would release. They would get some of their main releases, but they also did these like dual packs for Walmart. That's where a lot of the ones come out where you got Bill and Ted and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey together, and that was it. No special features. There was a couple other movies they released like that too. And they were like made for Walmart. You know how when Shout does their double feature things?
Yeah.
There were a bunch of movies just put together as double features. So like The Howling was put with something else. I can't remember what.
Oh yeah, The Howling and The Fog was together. It's called
that's it. But no special features, just the movies, right? I think they were on one disc or whatever. Yep. So yeah, they made those directly for Walmart. But that was like what, 5-10 years ago? Not 10, but like somewhere between 5 and some years ago. But yeah.
Yeah, but I did think about making a video talking a little bit about
Me Too 6. They still have not produced any. The worst they have is this is their antagonizing email. according to them, is because I told them I hope they choke on the extra few bucks they got out of me that they never actually got in the end of the day, because they were trying to play semantic games with me because they got lost. The orders got lost, so I got refunded anyway. So, and it was their fault they got lost as far as I'm concerned, because it was the first and only time I've ever used their stupid insurance for delivery. I think the reason they got fucked up is because I think you have to sign for them. That's why.
But yeah, like I said, I've noticed you're not the only one. Like I seen that one guy put out a video that I shared with you guys, talking about Scream Shout Factory, what they did with the whole Kurt Russell movie. And I know a lot of people were upset over that movie because that should not have been.
That's how I found out.
Yeah, and then
because I had that pre-ordered for a while now, and then all of a sudden I noticed my order got canceled. Like, what the fuck? So I went back in, and they still had some left before they went out, and I ordered it again. So I thought, well, maybe there was something wrong with my order. I don't know. Maybe my card didn't go through. Something went wrong. Well, and then literally, like, not even like an hour, somewhere in between an hour and the time I ordered it, I get another email saying my order's been canceled again. And then when I went back to order it again, they were out of stock, so I got pissed. Well, that's when I started emailing them and asking them what was going on and why my order's been getting canceled and all this other shit. And I did not get an answer. Never got an answer. Not until but I noticed I had, okay, because I've noticed this in the past when I've ever talked to them. I'll send them an email, never get an answer, but I'll go leave them a bad review and I get an answer right away.
Right.
Because they're snippy in their little, if you give them a bad review as well.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I've noticed that because I was going through some of the reviews just to like check it out to see. And I noticed
Random Brad, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I noticed if you've left them a pretty good review, they don't really respond to you. But if you left them a bad review, and even if the review is like,
respond to every one of them,
right? It's like even if the review is like, I bought this movie not knowing what it was, and I didn't really like it, and that's it. And then like they'll have a snide marky remark below it saying, "Oh, like you didn't really like it. Oh, that's your fault." It's like, what?
My favorite one was the one prior to this is where I put on there that it states on the box, on the cover, that Silver Bullet has the 5.1 remix on it. It's not on the movie. They messaged me back a shit ton of word salad, and it basically ended with, if you're not happy, you can return it or cancel your order or something along those lines. And I'm like, unfucking believable. It's like, I understand the reasoning behind it, but I did not need all of that and the snippy ending, but yet they're trying to tell me that I'm antagonistic for telling them that I hope they choke on the extra few bucks they made on me, because the movie that I bought literally went on sale like 24 hours later.
Right.
And I had the audacity to ask if they'd match that price, since it was literally like 24 hours fucking later.
That quick.
And not only that, combined it with another order so I could save money on shipping and handling. And then, unbeknownst to me, until this idiot told me after the fact, they had double charged me for shipping and handling anyway. So he admitted to another fault of theirs that I wasn't even aware of.
It's insane.
Yeah. So, and whoever's running this is the snidest mofo in the world.
Oh, that's what I said. I was just like going through some of the people that gave them bad reviews, and like, even just like I said, even if somebody's like not even being snippy or something, just leaves a normal, like, I didn't really like it, 2 stars. They leave a snippy remark in their thing below them. And like most people that give them like higher things, they don't really respond to, or they'll just say, "Oh, thank you." And it's like,
no, but I timed them the last few times because I had a bunch of them piled up, reviews left over from because whenever you purchase something, I actually get the prompt to actually do a review through Trustpilot. I had about half a dozen movies I hadn't reviewed yet. As soon as they pissed me off and told me I was banned, I gave them all a bunch of bad reviews, and they kept responding to each and every fucking one of them. It's like, if I'm so fucking banned, then why are you petty assholes still responding?
Right. They don't like it.
Because, like, do you really don't think I can't get around your bullshit if I really wanted your garbage? Because let's be honest here. At the end of the day, and yes, 6, I'm about to go off again. At the end of the day, 6 overprices, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Scream overprices us. They charge us way too goddamn much for what they're giving us. You got a movie like this. If Shout Factory had released this, it would have been fucking $35. $35, nothing new on it, and they still would release it for $35. Kino releases it. I think I paid $20 for it, or 21, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Like that's what I'm talking about.
That's what annoys me.
That's number one. Let's not even get into the glitches and shit that happen that they never fix. Let's not even get into the smudgy shit that for some reason they're one of the only ones that have that problem. The greasy discs. And I'll tell you what, there's not fucking once that I've ever gotten a disc from Shout Factory where it was either not rattling around on the inside and or I didn't have to wipe it off to get it to play. So I'll be sitting there watching it and 20, 30 minutes in, it'll start skipping and shit. Every single fucking time.
Mm-hmm. And they've gotten to the point now where like and I understand why, because we always say, well, you're getting this because it sold so many of this, but that gets a little ridiculous is because like the last couple of new 4K releases they have all been Blu-rays they released not too long ago. They have not really released anything new lately. I mean,
that's because they're losing all their shit to other people, and good.
Right, exactly. They are. That's because it's like most of their titles they are releasing are movies they already sold on Blu-ray. They're just getting a 4K 6 months later.
And that's really aggravates me because I still have a shit ton of 4K Shout titles where I hadn't even gotten to the Blu-ray yet.
Yeah.
I still got I could probably walk into a Blu-ray shop tomorrow with a box full of sealed Shout Factory discs. I shit you not. At least like probably 24 of ones they've re-released on me.
Yeah.
Still in plastic.
It seems like it comes really quick nowadays, and I get it. Like I know that's why they tell you to say, well, it's because we did this and it sold so and so amount, so now you'll get the 4K. And because it's gotten to the point where they're too afraid to, because they'll scan it in 4K and give you the Blu-ray, and then it sells and they'll go, well, we already did the 4K, so let's give them the 4K now. And it's just like, just give us the 4K to begin with. I guarantee it's going to sell. You got to the point now with your Bluetooth label, you know if you give out the 4K is going to sell. You don't need to give us the Blu-ray and then a year later or 6 months later, oh, here's the 4K because it sold so well. That's just that aggravates me. That aggravates me. But anyways, I guess I'll move on to my next title. Keeping in theme with my first pick, sort of, is Rudy on 4K, the Steelbook, the 30th anniversary Steelbook here. I'll take the little thing off here. It's great. This looks really, really good. Sony did it, of course. I almost dropped it. There's the back. If you guys can see that, and I'll open it up so you guys can see the Rudy Rudiger there. But yeah, this looks really, really good, and it contains the director's cut of the film, which I don't think I'd ever seen before till just now. Does anybody know if the director's cut has ever been released?
I don't think it has, because I don't ever remember it having a director's cut before.
I was going to say I don't remember it either, because I watched the director's cut because I was kind of interested, because it does go from, where's it at? I know it goes to 2 hours and something, and I think the original cut is like an hour 40 something. I'm trying to find the thing on the back here, but I don't see it where it tells you.
I mean, maybe they did on Blu-ray and I was unaware, but because I don't know if I even have it on, because I like the movie.
Yeah.
But I just have not seen it in years. It was just one of those movies that I never came across on Blu-ray and bought. And, you know, by the time they announced the 4K was coming along, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely worth it because the film looks incredible on 4K. I mean, it's Sony. So
well, I generally expect, nothing less from Sony usually. Yeah.
It looks great. It sounds amazing. The studio, like when they're in the football arena, sounds awesome. The picture quality is great. Sean Astin is amazing as Rudy, and it's 114 minutes for the theatrical version and 127 minutes for the director's cut. I watched the director's cut, and I did flip through the theatrical cut, but I watched the director's cut because I had never ever seen it. What that really does is it fleshes out the priest that he talks to. That gets him into college, if you remember, because when he goes to try to get in Notre Dame after his friend dies, the priest talks to him and gets him into community college and then tells him he can get into Notre Dame if he does good. Fleshes out his character, and it fleshes out the chick that he tries to hit on a little bit. And then she finds out he's not really a student at Notre Dame at first, and then she kind of like disappears and comes back. It fleshes her out. She has more scenes. But you can tell like one scene doesn't work because she walks up to like one scene when they added it back in. She walks up to him and tells him that she wants to do a story on him. It's after he's got back into Notre Dame and he's with on the team. She's like, because she wants to be a journalist. She said she wants to write a story about him, and because she thinks he's fascinating, and interesting. And he tells her, "Don't write the story about me. You can only write a story about me if I ever dress in a game." And then not too long later, if you remember, and because it's the same cut in the theatrical, was like he's on the field and she's standing on the sideline just talking, and he runs by her and goes, "Hello," and she's like surprised that he's actually on the team. So like it's a little out of sync in that regards in the director's cut. But other than that, it's not too bad. I can see why certain things were cut out for the theatrical cut, but it does help a little bit with her character and the priestess character. And there's just one extra scene with his dad in the beginning at Christmas time when he explains why they actually like Notre Dame so much. That was not in the theatrical cut. But the movie looks incredible. I love the steelbook. I think I love these Sony steelbooks. And it's just a great movie. The 4K is great, and yeah, definitely check it out because it's worth it. Now, this one I think runs a little more pricier than Varsity Blues. I think I paid $25.
I think specifically because it's a steelbook, but
yeah,
they'll probably release a regular version before.
They usually, like they did with Fright Night and all of them. But yeah, this looks incredible. It's probably the best movie I've ever looked. Much like you, Tom, I remember seeing this movie and loving this movie, and I never really ran across the Blu-ray in stores. And so now I have the 4K, and it's definitely worth it.
I'm honestly surprised it didn't wind up in their Columbia collection. That
you would think
feels
so,
like it would be a shoe-in, but honestly, I don't remember if it got any Oscar nominations or not when it came out. I remember it came out when I was in what year did it come out again?
I'm looking on the back here.
Because I remember 93.
93.
Okay, so I'd have been in junior high. Yeah, because we actually got this deal from I don't know if it was from the studio or the production company, with this school handout thing where it was like a whole deal about the movie with an interview with the real Rudy, a little thing like a magazine thing with like the making of the movie of it. And then we actually had like a couple pages of like a truncated version of the script they gave us. And so they handed it all out to all of us. And then like we read in class, like the whole, it was like, I think a 30 or 40 page version of the script, like truncated down.
Right.
But basically gave you the whole story though. It was like, so even before the movie even came out, we had this in school and I remember that. So then when the movie came out, I remember going to see it, but, it had to be 93. Wow, I was in junior high. Felt like I was younger than that, but
time goes quick, don't it? From what I understand from the listening to the real Rudy and some of the stories, this is actually one of the more accurate biopics of his life. Well, of the biopics, I mean, it's his life, but I mean, yes, the things are embellished. I think some of the stuff with his dad never quite happened. I don't know. I don't remember if they said his dad actually showed up to the game or if that was part of it or not. But I know that it's for the most part, it's one of the more accurate biopics. Of course, it's exaggerated and things have been changed around and stuff for Hollywood to make it more Hollywood. But from what I understand and from the real Rudy, it's one of the more accurate ones. But it's a great movie. It's that type of movie you watch, and this is like when you need a feel-good story like type movie. And I'm surprised it never got any Oscars because I was looking on the back, you know how they usually do the Oscar thing on the back. If they'll say, no, there is no citations or stars on the back saying this was nominated in any way, which is insane. Because I definitely would have thought Sean Astin or Charles Dutton would have been nominated definitely for his performance. So, yeah. There you go. But if you guys want to get a hold of that, it is well worth it. The 4K upgrade is nice because Sony doesn't really fail. I mean, it's few and far between when they actually mess up. And it looks good and it sounds good. That's what I can say. And if you don't want the steelbook, I'm sure they'll have a standard edition coming down the line in a while. So there you go. There you go. But Steven, what do you got for us? What's your next pick?
All right. My next pick is from 2009. And it is from the director of The Descent, Neil Marshall. And this is a movie that doesn't get mentioned as much. but me and my dad were both big fans of it when we saw it, and it's Centurion. Takes
Movies
place.
I've never seen. You remind me of like an older Rookie a little bit. But you have you at least you like Gremlins though.
Right. I do.
Yeah.
I like Gremlins quite a bit, and I want that on the record. I am a fan of Gremlins. Thank you and good night. Okay. Well, Centurion takes place in 117 AD, and it's a kind of a what if. And hello, George the Giant Slayer. Holy smokes. Hello, George.
He gave me a call while we sent him the link. Hey, George.
Well, George. All right. Takes place AD 117, and it's kind of a what if concerning the disappearance of the Ninth Legion. They went in to fight the Picts, and they all disappeared. Or did they? And as it turns out, there are survivors, and Michael Fassbender and a few people. And basically, it's this kind of 95-minute chase sequence.
Right. I do remember seeing the trailer. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Go ahead, please.
I was going to say I do remember seeing the trailer and being very interested. Then I don't know why I never watched it, but I do remember the trailer being awesome. Actually,
awesome. It is an awesome movie. It's as Michael Fassbender, Dominic West, Liam Cunningham, a few other guys, and like in Tom's movie where there was a character who was a complete weasel. There's a complete weasel in this too, But yeah, again, this is a fun one. It's a straight up in your face, gory action movie, and it is unapologetically what it is, and all of the character motivations work. They give Michael Fassbender this really cool narration where he has the line where he says, "This is neither the beginning nor the ending of my story." And he says it at the beginning and he says it at the end, which always kind of hinted that maybe there could be more stories, but we never got them. Great action sequences. The character that Olga Korolenko plays, she's one of the Picts, and she had been got tortured previously by Romans, and so she absolutely hates the Romans.
Right.
And she doesn't speak because her tongue's been cut out.
Oh.
Yeah, and it is intense. It's like somebody saw Gladiator.
Yeah.
Smoked some crack and said, let's do a sequel, and it is.
Sounds like a fun watch because, like I said, I do remember.
It's a fun watch. It's interesting in the fact that you are getting some history, kind of within all of the mayhem, but and the way that Michael Fassbender's character's kind of slowly starting to realize maybe he's playing for the wrong team, and he kind of, I got to go my own way here,
Right.
And it's interesting.
Nice.
He's good. Olga Korolenko's good. Dominic West is good. I wish he was in more of the movie. But yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it'll make you interested in looking into the Ninth Legion. And there's actually another movie that kind of tells sort of a similar story. That's kind of like a PG-13 version called The Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty decent too. It's a different kind of movie, but this is kind of like history. You're getting a history lesson at the same time. It's kind of like reading a really cool graphic novel at the same time.
That's cool. It's cool.
And that's what I like about it.
I do want to see this. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No. Again, I don't want to give away, kind of who survives and who ends up where, but it does not end the way you quite think it's going to.
Nice. Sweet.
And it's interesting. And like I said, it's only a little over an hour and a half, so it is a movie. It does not waste any time. You are thrown into the action right away, because Fassbender begins the movie on the run because he is the sole survivor of a previous attack, and then he winds up meeting the general of the 9th Legion and kind of going back to where he came from, and then they get annihilated, except for Fassbender and a few other guys, and then it's this chase scene back home.
Can you survive?
For the rest of the movie,
Right.
So yeah, it's a good one. There's a couple of twists and turns, and yeah, I mean it's pretty much this in your face action from beginning to end.
Who directed this? Was it
Neil Marshall?
Yeah. Okay, Neil Marshall.
Who did The Descent and Doomsday, and went on to do some Game of Thrones episodes as well.
Did he? Did he do Game of Thrones? I didn't know that.
He did. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I remember Doomsday. I do remember Doomsday, and I do remember The Descent. So that's cool.
I never got to Doomsday. My dad saw Doomsday, and he said he said to me you would probably like it, and I never got around to it.
Well, there's something for you to pick up.
So I got to go and I got to find it and sit down and watch it.
I do want to see this movie. Because like I said, I do remember seeing the trailer and thinking this movie looks pretty cool. I just don't know why I never got to watching it. Never got to watch it. So yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I like it. I dig it. That don't take when I meant to say that you like remind me of Rookie is like you bring on these movies I've never seen before. So that's in that sense.
No, that's fine. Hey.
Yeah. But that's cool. That's interesting. Cool. Any more words before we move on?
No, that's about it. It's a straight up action movie, and you get like I said, you get a dose of history, and then you get a dose of a really cool graphic novel too. It's kind of like, I don't want to say 300 because it's not that stylish, but it's kind of got that feel to certain sections of it, and the fact that the action is so kind of in your face, the fact that you have a couple of actors from that movie are also in this. And yeah, it's like getting a comic book version of a real life historical event, which since, that whole legion disappeared, we don't know what happened. And so this movie kind of has a chance to kind of,
explain
what if this happened? Yeah. Let's explain it a bit,
in our terms.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Dig it. All right, Tom, if you're ready for your next one, it's up to you.
Sure. The next one, speaking of movies coming out around the time we graduated, this is a movie that, wow, it's a lot of different things. It's It was one of the biggest movies in 1998. It's also one of the biggest disappointments of 1998 for some people.
I know what
It is.
I know what this is.
It has been released no less than 4 times on Blu-ray by Sony, on DVD and VHS. In fact, it was one of the first DVDs they put out because of the time it came out. But for as maligned as it is, it must keep selling because they keep re-releasing it.
How many copies now on 4K?
Re-releasing it and re-releasing it. I don't have the VHS anymore. I did back in the day, but I still have my old 1998 DVD, and it looks like shit.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, at the time, it looks pretty good for a 1998 DVD.
Right.
To be honest with you. Then I have the original Blu-ray release. So this is the 2009 one. So this is the 2K master. Okay. Then they did a 4K master in between this and the 4K release.
Yeah.
Now this is the standard 4K with just standard HDR. And then this last year for the anniversary, they put out this handy dandy steelbook now with Dolby Vision and HDR10 plus. And it actually does make a little bit of a difference. I will say between the two, I mean, if you already own this one, it's fine. But I mean, there's a little uptick in richness of color and depth. But I mean, this movie is a mixed bag. Now, we just talked about how good Sony films look. This movie looks both simultaneously amazing and atrocious at the same time. Now, you can probably imagine why.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being is that, as usual, CGI is a funky animal when it comes to 4K, depending on how it was processed. Now, what they did is they used just the shots that were put out in film and processed them onto here. And for the most part, they look good. There's some weird bits, though. There are some scenes and shots that seemingly are coming from like 3rd, 4th, 5th generation dupes for some reason. And it generally comes around subtitled scenes. But they have the subtitles digitally put on there. So it's scratching my head going, why isn't this the negative? I don't understand. But there's a lot of those scenes for some reason. All of a sudden you'll feel this jump in quality go way down. It's like even below Blu-ray quality for some reason. It just must be whatever they have left in the negative cut in. But for the most part, like 80% of the movie is from the negative. There's only a few shots and scenes like that when they're talking French and stuff. No, I mean, as far as the movie goes, is it a fun, like, monster gone wild, running through New York kind of movie? Yes.
Yes.
From the guys who made Independence Day? Absolutely. Is it a Godzilla movie? No. As most people say, it's mostly Godzilla in name only. Mostly.
Yeah.
And I say that because I still feel, had the monster looked more like Godzilla, most people wouldn't have had a problem with this movie.
Right.
I don't think they would have.
I think that is the biggest contention of the way he looks.
I think so, because the story itself isn't a bad remake of the original Godzilla story set in modern times, right? Like it pretty much hits all the main same kind of beats that you would in any Godzilla movie, like even from the first film. I mean, it's so similar to it. You can't deny that it's not a remake of the original Godzilla, but it is still its own animal. But that being said, I feel like it's weird because it feels like it gets so much shit compared to, obviously people must like it.
I know, because it keeps getting released.
Yeah, because Sony, out of all their films, I think the only other movie that they've released more than this is the Ghostbusters first one.
It's got to be one of their top. It's got to be one of their top sellers for it to keep getting released like that. Because, like we just talked about, if it sells, they keep releasing it.
It had 2 separate Blu-ray releases and 2 separate 4K releases. Now, so now, and I think the Blu-ray in the ones that I have would be the 4K remaster. So I did not check it against the original Blu-ray release. I did throw in the old DVD just for comparison's sake and to check and see what was on there for special features. Now, like 90% of the special features are carried over. The only thing that isn't is the Blu-ray Q thing, which I believe a Godzilla trivia game that's on the original disc. So otherwise, everything else is carried over. There really wasn't much for special features anyway. There's a little mini featurette with Harry Shearer's in character, like talking about Godzilla, and some trailers. Which actually, I mean, the trailers for this. That's the thing about this movie. This movie was sold on its campaign, right?
Mhm.
This is the first time, aside from, actually, it probably really is the first time where they really baited you into the theater with not showing you what it is. Probably the closest I can even remember to it would be Gremlins, where people weren't exactly sure what they were going to be getting out of it. But Gremlins at least was a surprise for people. I think most people, like you said, were just turned off by the way Godzilla looked. And clearly, Roland Emmerich wanted to make more of a Jurassic Park movie than he did a Godzilla movie anyway.
I mean, there's some like similar Jurassic Park scenes with the stomping of the Godzilla foot and everything, and the water.
And the babies are just like raptors.
Yeah.
And Roland Emmerich, he famously said, I don't like Godzilla. He turned it down for years, right? Like, because this movie has a really rich history. We almost got a completely different movie at one point.
Yep.
And Godzilla wouldn't have looked as bad, actually. But for years, it just languished in development hell. And it's funny because the director that left before Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin finally came in, they left because the studio wouldn't give them the money they wanted. And the Roland Emmerich version ended up costing, I think it was Sony's most expensive movie ever made at that time. So it was like $120 million, which is insane for 1998, plus the campaign. Like it was the biggest campaign ever for a movie up until probably The Force Awakens the year later. Because you had buses that would say Godzilla's foot is this big. And it would have like, I shit you not, and you would have like the arrow going from one end to the other end of the bus. And then underneath it said Godzilla this summer. Like it was everywhere. You had the Taco Bell commercials. Yep. And what was funny is I remember the first images that leaked, we were like, that can't be real. And when we knew it was real was when Fruit of the Loom lost the license, because that's what happened was somebody had gotten a hold of the art from the Fruit of the Loom Underoos, and it was the first glimpse anybody had gotten of Godzilla. And they're like, that's not Godzilla. That's like a T-Rex thing. That's got to be something Godzilla fights. Right? Yeah. We're all like, no, that can't. No, that's not Godzilla. And between them canceling their deal with Underoos, and I worked at Taco Bell at the time, and we got the toys in a little early, and I pulled out the toys, and I'm like, fuck.
No.
But I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna let that ruin. And I ended up liking the movie when I finally saw it. In fact, I saw it like 2 or 3 times. First time I saw it in the main theater, then I saw it in a drive-in, and it was like it was almost perfect because it was like beating rain, and the whole movie is like rain.
Yeah,
so it was almost like it was weird seeing a movie in a drive-in like with just nothing but rain, and it was just crazy. It kind of just fit perfectly. And then I think I saw it again at the local cheaper theater. But no, I mean, I didn't hate it. I just didn't like the look of Godzilla.
Yeah.
But no, at the end of the day, it's not a horrible movie. But it is what it is. I saw it in
theaters too when it came out. I remember thinking it was a fun movie, but I was like, that's not Godzilla. Speaking of which, I almost bought Godzilla 2000, where he actually fights and destroys that.
Yeah, I've got that one.
I almost bought that. I don't actually have that one. I almost bought it here recently. But no, I remember it was fun. I had the soundtrack. Actually,
Nick Totopoulos. Oh yeah, the soundtrack was huge.
It had a pretty good soundtrack on it. I remember it was like had P. Diddy. It had
I had a guy buy the soundtrack from me once when I was DJing.
Really?
And the only reason I sold it to him is because he paid me like twice what I knew it would cost me to get a new one. I'm like, you really want it that bad, don't you? He's like, yes, I've been looking for this for him. Like, dude, it's not like it's not available. eBay and shit even existed at this time. I'm like, I'm sure you can get on eBay for like pretty cheap, man. He's like, no, I'll pay you like whatever you want right now. I'm like, I don't know, dude. And I just finally settled on like $20. I was like, all right, take it, whatever.
Yeah.
You want it that bad.
I actually probably still have that soundtrack somewhere.
Well, I have it too. I just rebought it, but yeah.
I think I still
And I think
have
by
mine
the time I
Blu-ray.
finally got it around to rebuying it, I think I found it used for like $2. So, it's like, so I made out pretty good. And it wasn't like when I was DJing, it wasn't like a soundtrack I played that often.
Right.
Like I remember like the Puff Daddy song was a big deal when it first came out. But other than that, most people didn't really want to hear the Heroes song. Once in a while, I would play the Brain Stew version, the Godzilla version with the roars in the background.
Right.
People didn't mind that one so much, but
I'd like
it's a
to
weird
hear
soundtrack because only like a third of the songs are actually in the movie.
Right. That was back then. It was like music from and inspired by.
It was really because a few of them are kind of playing in the background of a few scenes if you really are paying attention. But other than that, like, and I mean, it did have some hits. You had the Heroes song, which I don't know if it was a #1 hit, but for the Wallflowers, but it was a pretty big hit.
Yeah.
Puff Daddy one did really well. That video is not on here for some reason. The video for the Wallflowers is, but not the Puff Daddy one. And I thought Jamiroquai did a video too that's not on here.
Yeah, I think he did one.
Yeah, because those are the 3 songs that I remember being the singles plus the remixed version of Brain Stew. But
yeah. But real quick here, it says thoughts on the cast. I heard the Godzilla 1998 run Mario Patelio's career. I hope I said that name right. I did
Maria?
like Matthew Broderick. Maria. Why did I say Mario? I said Mario.
I think she was just a
Maria.
bad actress, to be honest with you. She's like one of the worst parts of the movie, dude. She cannot act.
That explains it.
Nick Totopoulos. No, the cast was great because I didn't even know. See, that was the thing is, I mean, even though the internet was around back then, they kept this movie under really tight security, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, other than finally when the movie just before it came out, working at Taco Bell, seeing the cups and the toys and stuff like that, like they didn't give you any hint at who was in the cast, right? I knew Matthew Broderick was in it. And I think you could tell from just like 1 or 2 of the trailers. I think Hank Azaria is it, but I didn't really think nothing. Or Harry Shearer, I mean, but I didn't know Hank. One of them. Oh, Hank Azaria. That's the one you saw in the trailer, not Harry Shearer. Yeah. But then when you go to see the movie, you're like, holy shit, the Simpsons are in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like, the only one missing is Dan Castellaneta and Julie Kavner. Otherwise, you've got Bart in here. You've got the whole town of Springfield between Harry Shearer and Hank Azaria. Like.
Yeah.
What the hell? That was kind of jazzed me up. I'm like, no, because like when I saw Nancy Cartwright, I'm like, no way, that's Nancy Cartwright. I'm like, yeah, it is. And like, is it her? Because I knew what she looked like. And then as soon as she spoke, I'm like, oh fuck, it is. Because he's like yelling on the phone. He's like, what are we gonna run for the story? Blah 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 blah. And she's like, sir, I think your story just walked past the window. I'm like, that's Bart Simpson.
Yeah. Like you said, I don't think most people really complained about the cast. I don't think most people really complained about the story. It was just when you saw Godzilla, it just
the 2 women leads, sadly, are probably the weakest link. And just from watching it this time out, I was kind of like, yeah, they're given really nothing. And I think Maria, the one that he was just asking about, the main chick, she is really a bitch in the movie. Let's be real. Like, I mean, there is no reason for Matthew Broderick to even like her at all. And she seems completely out of his league. And it's like, and then Animal's wife, Hank Azaria's part, she's just kind of annoying. Right? Like she's just, I mean, she's not bad, but she's just not, it's just there.
Apparently, Maria is retired and did very little after Godzilla. So
yeah, not a great actress.
The only other thing I remember her from was that one scene that she's in True Romance.
Oh, I don't even remember in it. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the scene in the car with Bronson Pinchot where he winds up with the.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Because now that you say that, I'm like, because I just watched that not that long ago, but yeah.
Yeah.
The Velociraptors are the dumbest.
Yeah.
I like the baby. I'm sorry. I do like the baby Godzillas. Especially the whole bit about them figuring out that they smell like fish. I loved it. I do unapologetically like the movie. I'm not going to lie. And we know it's Yellow Flash's favorite movie. Right?
That's what I've heard.
He's going to get so pissed for me saying that. But
I've heard that.
He gets so aggravated when somebody says that. It's so hilarious. I fucking hate that movie. Like, tell me about it. You really do. Yeah.
I've not seen this movie in a very, very long time, but I do remember liking it.
It's been a while.
I've been thinking about picking up the Blu-ray or the 4K. I mean, because I haven't seen it in a long time, and I'm like, I do remember just liking it. I do, and I know, like I said, I really think it's the way Godzilla looks is why it gets so much flack. If they would have just said like monster T-Rex terrorizes New York, I don't think they would have had any problem. Or if they would have made it look more like Godzilla, I don't think they would have
just called it Godzilla ripoff then, though. See, that's the thing, is it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That's true. That's true. And they did, like Dan Aykroyd explained, they did make it work a little better on the cartoon with the I do think
the cartoon is actually uses all the ideas they had for sequels.
Yeah,
so I don't know if you guys knew that.
Godzilla's and that and stuff. Yeah. But
it was actually set up to have Godzilla be more of a fight for us kind of thing and have more monsters and stuff in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I actually agree with them. The right move. I think doing the other script wouldn't have been as fun, and we'll get to that a little bit more, because I think the first film you have to establish Godzilla as a force of nature first. And that's what I love about Godzilla -1 is don't need another monster for him to fight in the first film. And that was something that I will agree with Roland Emmerich on, is like, he didn't like that idea. He's like, we don't need another monster. Godzilla is the monster. If you build him up enough,
that's how he starts anyways. In like all the in like the original, that's how Godzilla started. He starts as this unstoppable type monster, and then eventually he became like,
honestly, I feel like
him, sometimes you wouldn't.
If you take somebody who is totally unaware of this film, completely unaware of it, and had them watch just the first part of it before you actually see Godzilla, I think they'd be like, yeah, so far it's pretty good. You know, or, you know, even if they're aware of Godzilla, but not aware of this movie, right? Like, you're hard pressed to find somebody, but I think up until the point, like you said, where you see Godzilla, there's nothing wrong with the movie. Like, I think it rolls like a typical 90s movie would at that time. I mean, yes, does it have a lot of the same kind of isms that ID4 had? Yes, but I'm okay with that because I loved Independence Day. So
yeah, right. I did too. I do remember the scene like with the water, like when he first comes to New York, or whatever, and the water's coming up. That's actually a pretty scary, intimidating scene with that seeing that water flow like that up towards the pier, and the pier shattering and all that.
With the fishermen.
That's actually a pretty That's actually
they actually have the teaser trailer on here, and you realize when you're watching the teaser trailer compared to the movie that they released that before the special effects were even finished, because the guy doesn't even barely look like he's running. So I watch the trailers. That's all that's on the 4K is just the trailers. You guys flip over to the Blu-ray to get the other stuff, but which is kind of a piss. That's the one thing I will complain about, because literally for another 10 minutes worth of special features, you got to flip over to another disc. If you don't count, because otherwise all the special features are the new special feature that they put on the Blu-ray. Because at that point, Sony had the rights to the later Godzilla films. So there's like a 10-minute clip of Godzilla's greatest fights.
Nice.
It's like, I hate it when they do those, though. They're like a waste of space to me. It's like, I don't need to see somebody else's fucking sizzle reel.
Just makes me want to watch the real Godzilla.
Yeah, like, you're just reminding me of movies I didn't have at that time, right? Like... Because it took me a long time to get my Godzilla collection together. I mean, if it wasn't for the Criterion one, I wouldn't have had all the movies.
Right. And aren't we supposed to be getting like the first two or something again on 4K? Well, not. It's like a Japanese company's releasing them on 4K or something. Didn't I see that?
Yeah, Toho's been releasing them. I hope they get released here in the States because they don't have English subtitles on them. But yeah, these are just the ones that, well, the one on the bottom isn't one that Sony owns, but these are the newer ones. Well, newer, the 80, 90, 89 through 90, whatever, 2000.
Yeah, I was thinking.
It took me a while to get all those.
I was thinking about buying some of those because I don't have all of them. And that's why I was like, I almost bought the 2000 the other day. I was like, I've been wanting this one for a while. Almost did.
Yeah, so otherwise, before Criterion Collection set came out, which has its own issues, we may get into it at some point once I finally get through it all. I didn't have but just a spattering of the older ones because they were hard to find in the US. I had like literally a handful of them, and that's it. The original, and then like Godzilla versus Kong, the American version, and I think like 4 other ones of the 60s Godzilla films and 70s Godzilla films, and that's it. that were released just sporadically ones on like weird. I think it was like a Medusa video or something like that, or something. I can't remember what it was. Kraken video. I don't remember, but yeah.
Something, yeah. Well, cool. Now you got me wanting to watch the '98 Godzilla again because I have not seen it in years. I want to see if I would still like it now.
Hear my cry, hear my call, duty be, stupid jaw. I don't hate that song. Sorry. Come with me.
I remember that.
This makes me want to hear the original song by Led Zeppelin. That's all.
Oh.
No, that was just a big deal because they had Jimmy Page on there because Led Zeppelin notoriously would not license out their stuff. But anyway, take care, Brian.
Yeah, good night, Brian. Have a good one. All right. Well, I guess I'll go. If you get done, I'll go on to me. I have a great little.
Sorry.
No. I'm kidding.
I thought that's what you're going to tell us. I was like, well, at least it's not AIDS. That was going to be my response.
I have the Dunwich
I have
Horror
that.
here.
I haven't watched that yet.
This movie was the first time watch for me. I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan. I'd never seen this. This movie is fucking awesome. I really, really enjoyed this movie more than I anticipated I would. This is a great movie. Dean Stockwell, who a lot of people know as Al from Quantum Leap, is amazing in this movie. You wouldn't even know it's the same guy. He gives us such great, like, quiet, like evil sort of performance, and also like it's great. It's based on the Dunwich Horror by H.P. Lovecraft, and I had never seen this before. I really, really wish I would bought this during October because it definitely gave me like vibe, like, you know, like this is a movie you would watch around October and that time of year. It just really felt that way. And I guarantee you, I don't remember if he said it so or not, but near the end of this movie, I'm not going to spoil it or anything like that, but near the end of this movie, definitely had to have some influence on Evil Dead. Sam Raimi more than likely got a lot of influence on the Evil Dead from this movie, especially near that when it gets to like the third act of the film. I guarantee it. But essentially the plot of this movie is Dean Stockwell's character. He's this young man. His name's Wilbur Whately. He goes to Miskatonic University. He wants the Necronomicon. He wants the book. And they say, no, you know, because it's like locked up in the museum in this college. And they tell him, no, you can't take it home. But he takes a liking to this Sandra D, this young woman, this young college student. And he takes her back to his house. And he manages to keep her there. And while he's there, he wants to, awaken the old gods, if you know anything about the H.P. Lovecraft, which is one thing I don't like about that right here. Like it's got the upside down cross. It's not really Christian mythology with the Necronomicon. It's not like heaven or hell. It's interdimensional with the old gods, these old beings that used to roam the world. It's not, that shouldn't really be there. And I did switch to the original cover art there. But yeah, that's the only thing I don't really like about that there. But it's a fun movie. It's a Roger Corman produced movie because I love me some Roger Corman. But it's creepy. It's definitely had to have some inspiration on Evil Dead, because let's face it, Evil Dead is an H.P. Lovecraft story in and of itself as well, even though it's not based off of a H.P. Lovecraft story. I do recommend, Tom, I think you would dig this. I think it was what was the year? It's like 69 or 70, and it's got that vibe to it. And for a 2K scan, it says a new K restoration from 35 millimeter. It looks amazing. It looks really good. I don't know if we'll ever get a 4K of it or not, but I'm happy to have this. I was really, really glad to watch this. This movie, just like, it's bizarre, it's crazy, it's psychedelic, it's creepy. If you're into H.P. Lovecraft movies like this, I highly recommend this. And I believe this is still pretty cheap on for 4K, or I don't want to say it's not 4K, for a Blu-ray from Arrow. This is still pretty cheap. I think I paid like $16 for this, so it's well worth it. It's got plenty of good special features, and it's worth it. That's really all I can say about it. I assume I'm the only one on the panel that has seen it because I know Tom said he has it, but he hasn't watched it yet. I don't know about you, Steven, if you've seen it or not.
I have not. It sounds good.
Yeah, it is very good. It's just like Dean Stockwell gives this performance. It's just like, it's so quiet. And like, at first you kind of think you're like, he's got to be a good guy. He's really got to be a good guy. And within like, I'm not really spoiling anything here. Within like 2 minutes of the movie, you know, he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. So it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty fun, interesting, like, trippy movie. It is a trip because you can tell it's very much in the product of like the hippie, like psycho, like sexual thing of the 60s and early 70s, because that's very emphasized in the movie. So yeah.
Yeah,
and there's
got around to it yet. So
yeah,
I just hadn't got around to watching it yet. That's all.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, definitely try to watch it in October because I definitely think I'm going to revisit this movie in October because it gave me some like, not that it didn't feel like a Halloween, you know, like not like Halloween, but just felt like something you could watch around as soon as October starts in the fall and stuff. It just very creepy and fun. It's just a fun, crazy movie. And yes, there is nudity in it. So
who directed it?
Well, there you go.
It was executive produced by Roger Corman and it was directed by Daniel Haller, but it was written by the guy that did LA Confidential, Curtis Hanson. Curtis Hanson wrote the movie, but he directed LA Confidential later on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
So it's really good. So it was a fun one. It was a fun one. It's just, I'm so used to seeing Dean Stockwell as Al because I love Quantum Leap. I've watched that show like a million times, and just like to see this performance from him when he was like, he had to be like 20 something, early 30s. It's just like, it doesn't even look like or sound like the same person. It's a really great acting performance by him. It's really good. But anyways, there you go. There's that pick for me. So let's move on to you, Steven. What do you got for us?
All right. Well, it's Oscar time again. And the nominations came out yesterday morning. And there was a movie that I felt should have gotten multiple nominations, but it got left out. And I know why it got left out. And
Barbie?
It's The Covenant.
The Covenant.
With Jake Gyllenhaal and Darceline. Excellent movie. Excellent movie. A lot of people slept on it. The trouble is it came out at the same time as Super Mario Brothers. And it rolled over everything. People missed out on The Covenant. They missed out on Renfield. It was about that same time. You have a group of Americans with an Arabic interpreter looking for an IED factory. They're ambushed. Everyone is killed except for Jake Gyllenhaal and Darceline. Jake Gyllenhaal is very badly wounded, and Darceline has to literally drag him across some pretty hairy terrain to get him back to Bagram Air Base. And then, of course, Gyllenhaal's medevaced out. But now Darceline's family and his family are trapped behind enemy lines. And Gyllenhaal comes up with this plan to go back in and get him out. And it's a really good movie. It's a lot of action, really good character drama. It's really a movie about brotherhood under fire. You know,
Okay.
Great supporting cast. I joked because a couple of friends of mine, Jedi Bill and Sense Corner, we've really been talking up this movie, and we're really upset that it kind of didn't get much play.
Well, the Oscars don't mean anything, so
Yeah, but you listen to the backup cast in this movie. You have Homelander, you have the Widow, you have Sherlock Holmes, and you have Bjorn Ironside. How could you go wrong? You know, and it's easy. You don't go wrong. This is an excellent movie. It's directed by Guy Ritchie, but it doesn't play like his movies normally do. This doesn't feel like he directed it, but it is. It's directed by Guy Ritchie, but it doesn't play like his movies normally play. It doesn't feel like he directed it. I think he read the script, realized he really didn't have to do much dramatically for it. It's not the same editing style or the same shooting style that a lot of his movies have. You know, I think he realized he had a really good script here. Just shoot it. The story is the thing. The characters are the thing. Shoot that. And it's an excellent film. And not very many people have seen it, but I do highly recommend it. I understand why the critics didn't like it, because the mainstream critics, anyway, because it's it's too American. It's too pro soldier, and they don't like that. Yeah, no, and I don't mean to get political for a minute, but I'm going to get political for a minute. This is a movie that lambasts the present administration. You know, in a certain house on Pennsylvania Avenue. You know, and and the mainstream critics don't like that either. So. Yeah, when you bring up policy or being pro-soldier, the mainstream isn't going to like that too much. But I mean, it's really a character study of these two men, you know, who come from completely different backgrounds, who find themselves together in this situation, and it really becomes about your brothers in the foxhole next to you. There's a phrase that, and I'm forgetting that right now, but it's an excellent movie. Should have been nominated for Best Picture, hands down. Should have been nominated. Dar Salim should have been nominated for supporting actor. It's an excellent movie. No 4K. Unfortunately, but the Blu-ray is available pretty much everywhere. Please, everybody, go out, support this movie. It's one of the best of the year.
Okay, cool, yeah, nice.
If you like Lone Survivor and movies like that, you'll like this because it relates.
It's high praise, man. It's high praise. Mm-hmm. Passionate. I love the I love the passion.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dig it. Cool. I remember. I think I just remember seeing the trailer, and you're right. It was sandwiched in there in a spot where I don't think it really had a chance. So yeah. Hey, but that's why we like physical media, right? Because a lot of movies like that can find a new life on physical media and become fan favorites. So. At least that's what they used to do back in the day, and that's where they would get another second revenue of money until they started going all streaming. So look, hey, Tyrell72 says sounds great. He's going to check it out for sure. So there you go.
Thank you.
All right.
Please do. Yeah, let everybody know about this one, please.
Okay. Cool. The end credits of OG photos is cool as well. Huh?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. All right, Tom, if you're ready for your, I think this is your final picks for the night, or if I think
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I got 4 films here. In about a month and a half, we're getting a new one in this series, and I just watched the television spin-off series based on this franchise. But I don't think I brought these on before.
I don't think maybe the second Godzilla. No, maybe
I don't know. Either way, I
maybe
watched
Runner did.
the original Godzilla 3D, Kong Skull Island 3D, Godzilla King of the Monsters 3D, and Godzilla versus Kong 3D. In preparation for the new one coming out, and I had just watched Monarch, so I just wanted to see what I could pick out as far as Easter eggs and stuff that were interesting, because I enjoyed that show. All right, I thought it was pretty good. Didn't love it, but definitely didn't hate it. But as far as the movies go, they vary. The first Godzilla is good, not great, but as I was saying before, that's kind of where you run into the issue of him fighting other monsters right away in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of takes away from Godzilla himself being a force of nature. Kong, on the other hand, he's always fought other creatures, so that just kind of goes with the terrain.
Yeah,
right?
That's what he does. Yeah.
And Kong Skull Island still is probably the best of the 4 films.
I agree with that.
It definitely is up there as far as the better of the 4. King of the Monsters, I have a love-hate relationship with, because I love the monster stuff in it, but I hate the people.
Yeah.
Fucking hate the people.
I think we've talked about this, because I think maybe Runner brought on one before, is why I think we remember talking about. The mom is like, horrible. I don't care when it finally takes her out. I'm like, am I supposed to care that she's now gone?
Well,
she's like,
it's stupid. Like, why is she working with the bad guys?
Right.
I mean, the logic is so asinine, and the way the movie plays out, you don't need it. It pads it out unnecessarily. You already have a situation where you have Monster Zero there. You have this thing, that they're trying to talk to Mothra with. You just have the bad guys kidnap them and try to wake up all the monsters for their own nefarious purposes, right? That's all you need. Right? And then Monster Mash happens. That's pretty much the way the movie is anyway, if you just trim out all that other garbage, because it just unnecessarily bogs the movie down in human drama, and not really good drama. It's melodramatic bullshit. I mean, Millie Bobby Brown, I don't mind her, but this is one of her worst acting bits. Like, she is horrible in this movie. And so are the parents, aside from what's his face. He's okay, but he's overdoing it too.
A little bit,
And like, everybody's overdoing it in this movie, and it feels too over the top, and not in a good Godzilla way, right? Because I'm used to weird, wacky stories in Godzilla movies and aliens and other kinds of crazy shit. Little fucking midget women singing to Mothra and shit like that. I'm used to that, but this had an opportunity to be probably one of the most kick-ass Godzilla movies of all time, and I know a lot of fans love this one, but I just hate the human aspect. The other parts I'm fine with. It's the human aspect I hate. Now, Godzilla versus Kong, now that, in my opinion, fixes a lot of the problems with the human element. Now, there's still a little too much human going on, especially this time out. I was like, I don't remember this movie being so bogged down in human stuff as the first time out.
Right.
But there's a little bit of it, but that little girl makes up for it, because at least she's not obnoxious. She's one of the last, she's the last island, they call her Iwi. That's their culture or whatever. So she's the last from the island, and she's deaf. So happens to be deaf and all that kind of shit. So it just works perfectly. And of course, works in with the idea that, apes can do sign language. And of course, then you have the big revelation that Kong can speak. So, and I really love all the things that they do with Kong's character in this movie. The Godzilla stuff's good. I love, even the mecha. This is actually probably one of my, like, the mecha Godzilla stuff I like the least. of it probably in the movie, but it's probably one of the better iterations of Mechagodzilla at the same time. And it would have fit in better with the other stuff that you had, these people working for Apex. And like the Monarch series, what I love about it is it fills in a lot of the gaps. Right. So I got out of it what I was hoping for. Some people are upset with the Monarch series because they're like, there's not enough monsters in it. I'm like, well, there's like a monster in every episode, and we get Godzilla quite a few times. Now, granted, some of that footage is repurposed or extended footage from the other films. I'm not going to say it's not, but like even in like what I the attention to detail though, I thought was really well done, because they talk about like, say, the first time they actually see Godzilla, they talk about it in this one, and I believe in this one too, where they show it in Monarch, right? Like the actual them trying to blow up Godzilla the first time. So like they do like have a good job of like syncing that kind of stuff up. Like the series actually starts during this movie. It's a scene that plays off of another scene. You see John Goodman run off. He films something real quick, tosses something in the ocean, and then it goes from there into the series. And it's about his character, a young version of his character, and then another character we haven't met yet, played by Wyatt and Kurt Russell at different times. So, and it gets really a little bit more into Hollow Earth stuff, how that works, and some of that business. But
that was some of the stuff I like with the Kong versus Godzilla, because I really like Kong Skull Island, and I like the groundedness of Skull Island, Kong. It felt like, yes, this could exist in a Godzilla world, but then like when they got to the Hollow Earth stuff and all that, I kind of was like, I don't know how I quite feel about this, because I kind of liked the more groundedness of it.
Well, the Hollow Earth stuff is introduced in each and every one of the films, pretty much.
Yeah, it is. But
because they kind of start figuring it out in the first movie. That's how Godzilla's getting around, because he keeps dropping off their radar, and then they do bring it up in Skull Island, and then they really start bringing it up in King of the Monsters, and then of course in Godzilla versus Kong. It's one of the main plot lines. But then Monarch, it's also one of the main plot lines. So it kind of gives you more of an idea. And I know this new film is going to play a lot into Hollow Earth, because obviously, if you can tell from the previews, there's a whole race of apes and stuff. So yeah,
that'd be interesting to see how they do that. Yeah.
I actually know pretty much the whole plot. But
do you?
I know somebody who saw it and pretty much told me everything. I even know how it ends.
Well, I take it, since you're not complaining about it, so you must like it. So
we technically get a winner this time, or somebody dies, let's say. I'm going to say that much. So this is the last outing for somebody.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. But yeah, I do agree that Kong Skull Island is the best. I didn't really I couldn't quite get into that first Godzilla one. I mean, it starts off pretty good and everything, and then it kind of meanders a little bit.
The problem is you have the switching of characters is a problem, because Cranston's interesting. His passion to try and figure out what the fuck happened to his wife carries you through that first part of the film. And also, Godzilla doesn't come into the movie till an hour into the movie. This has got to be the longest we'll ever see a movie with Godzilla in it where he doesn't show up until that late into the movie. Because even the 98 film, he shows up like almost right away. But I mean, you finally see him in the bridge sequence when he gets out of the water at like what, 30 some minutes into the movie, I think.
Yeah.
It's not that long into the movie. Right. So like, because it attacks New York like 3 times throughout the film. So like, in this movie, it's like you have the opening bit, which is like 20 minutes in itself. Then you have him trying to get back into San Francisco and all this shit with his son. And then finally Godzilla shows up an hour into the fucking movie. But then you had the other Muto shit as well. See, that's the part that bothered me about the first one. It's like, who gives a shit about these other fucking Godzilla's enough.
Right? Yeah. Right. I mean, he comes out of the water and he starts wrecking San Francisco in the movie. And anyways, and they're trying to fight him. You don't really need the other monster for Godzilla to fight.
Well, they use the other monster's motivation for Godzilla, but at that point, it's like, no, you just have it to where Godzilla is the first to wake up, and that starts waking up the other monsters. And then that's where you have this sequential order of like the movies as they play out. Like the stuff's here. You could do it. Like when I was watching King of Monsters, I'm sitting here going, I wonder if you can do a fan edit of this. And I'm like, you really can't, unfortunately, but it's like I wish I could just cut around the wife bullshit. Like, because it'd be nice if you could just kind of cut most of that out.
Which is it's insane because like that movie is all right because it does have like the monster stuff you want to see, like when they say King of the Monsters.
Oh, and I love Ghidorah in it too.
Ghidorah's great. But the mom is just such an annoying ass character. It's just like,
well, she was annoying before her twist, and then her twist makes it worse.
Yeah. And it's still like, even at the end when she's putting, like I mentioned earlier, when she's putting her family in the thing and she dies, it's like, I don't give a shit. Good, she's dead. Get her off the screen.
That's what I said. I'm like, good, let the bitch die. She fucking deserves it.
You know, like she started this shit.
Well, and she didn't have to. Like I said, the plot does not even call for it. That's what makes no fucking sense. It's like you already had what are you doing? Why is she working with them? That's what I remember saying out loud in the movie. I'm like, that makes no fucking sense.
It doesn't.
You don't even have to have that. As soon as they get the arc, that's the thing. As soon as they get the Orca, they don't really need her other than to turn it on and turn it and tell them to what to do, right? And it makes sense you take the daughter too, because that incentivizes the mom to do what she's being told to do. You already have that there. You don't need the rest.
Exactly.
And then you just have the dad trying to get, and that's the other part. Then it makes more sense than you have the other plot being, the dad who wants to get his fucking wife and kid back. He didn't give a shit about anything else, but they want him there because he's the only one who can understand what Godzilla's doing. Right? There's your story. You don't need the extra shit.
Exactly.
Because it works in the favor of the audience, because this guy has every reason in the world to hate Godzilla, but yet 2/3 of the way or a third of the way into the movie, he's finally realizing he's our only hope. Right? So that's all you need in a movie is the balance right there is the audience, right? The first movie should have set up the Godzilla was a force of nature you can't stop. This is the movie where all the other monsters should have woke up and you and had the bad guys push that forward with the stupid Orca thing, right? And there's your plot. You didn't have to have all this extra bullshit. Like, it just makes no fucking sense.
As I said, it gets really convoluted with her, and then like they try to redeem her, and it's like there's no redeeming her. She's just you and
they kind of drop in the plot that Monster Zero's from space, and they don't bring it up again.
Like, guess what?
Wouldn't you want to wonder where he's from space? Why he's here? Like, I mean, if you don't belong here, wouldn't you want to research that a little bit? They don't even mention it again after that. I mean, of course, his brain is part of Mechagodzilla, but I don't think it even comes up. Trying to remember when the guy told me about Godzilla X Kong, if it ever comes up again too. I don't think it does.
Really?
Ghidorah is his greatest foe, if you ask me. He's my favorite anyway. I mean, he's the one that always seemed to come back no matter what. But yeah,
didn't they, like he had the heads, like the one head was used for Mechagodzilla, and there was two other ones that they were going to use, right?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm trying to remember I don't remember if he regenerates in the original. I don't think he regenerates in the originals. I think that was something they added for this one, or maybe in the second era of films. I can't remember. But it's been a while since I've watched them. But yeah. But I mean, I remember that was always one of my favorite plot lines of the original Godzilla films was that, Monster Zero, the first film, you don't know he's from Planet X or whatever. Or you find out he's from Planet X, and it was this whole plot the whole time that they had sent him there in the first place to destroy Earth. And then when he didn't succeed, they made out like Ghidorah was destroying their planet now, and they needed the help of Godzilla and stuff like that. And then as soon as they send Godzilla off Earth, it's like a convoluted plot, but it takes place over like 3 movies. It's one of the few in the series that actually has connective tissue to each one. Otherwise they're barely connected. I mean, they've got like a lot of the same actors and they play different parts. It's weird. It's kind of confusing sometimes, but yeah.
Corleone Rogue wants to know, is Charles Dance in the new Godzilla X Kong?
I don't think so. Was he in? I don't even think he was in Godzilla vs. Kong, was he? I don't think he was.
Wasn't he in an after credit scene of Godzilla vs.
No,
Kong?
He was just in the after credit scene of King of the Monsters buying the head. And then when you get to the Godzilla versus Kong, it's the guy who's the head of Apex, and his I don't think he's related to him, but it's the other guy that's in the suit.
Yeah,
what do you call it?
Shirazawa's son. Yeah.
Is it his son?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Serizawa's son. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I thought was kind of confusing, because it felt Godzilla versus Kong felt to me like there was a movie missing. Like there should have been another movie between King of the Monsters and Godzilla versus Kong to explain a couple of things, because the technology is all out of whack, and
that's kind of where Monarch comes in a little bit.
Son. Oh, okay.
So not all those. I'm trying to remember. Not all those questions are necessarily answered, but like they do show you that they've been working on things to get to Hollow Earth for a while. So this is something they've been, because like a lot of it is set up. You have like basically 3 factions of people. Mm-hmm. You have Monarch, the original version of Monarch. Then you have the government version of Monarch, and then you have the offshoot people who were part of Monarch but are pissed because Monarch's not listening to them, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have Apex, which is working against Monarch and basically their main competitor. And that's the thing, is they kind of jump into Apex and Godzilla versus Kong without giving you any real setup of who Apex is. Yes, Monarch gives you a little bit more of an idea of who Apex is, because one of the main characters worked for Apex. And then you get kind of just like, I liked Monarch because it just gives you a full broad history of how Monarch came to be, right? From the very beginning to the now. And basically in between Godzilla and King of the Monsters. So maybe it does answer most of the questions you're asking. Because to me, it filled in a lot of gaps that I was like, oh, okay. And it even took me a little bit to realize that the one character was John Goodman's character as a young man at first. I was like, oh, well, that was one of the most piss poor casting, because he doesn't even look like him or sound like him, but okay. I finally figured it out from the name. I'm like, wait, I know that name.
Where do I know that name from?
and then it made sense as to why, because I was like I'm like, why did they show John Goodman in the beginning and then we never see him again? I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm like, oh, that's why, because he's the same character, but he's played by a different actor because he's younger. But man, I mean, I never knew Wyatt. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together with Wyatt Russell. Like, I've seen him in a few things prior to. I didn't know he was Kurt Russell's son until he was in Captain America.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I realized, oh, he is. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know. He's Golden and Kurt's son, actually.
Yeah. He's in Soldier as the younger Kurt as well.
I didn't know that either. No, I didn't know. But yeah, it's kind of funky because before I knew it, I never really kind of noticed the resemblance. But when you see him in this, he does such a good job of emulating a young version of his dad. So that's, if anything, it's worth it just seeing their performances. Yeah. And I liked their character arc. I liked that character group. The modern character group I wasn't too keen on. Like where the show went off the rails is in the 5th episode, and then it comes back on the rails. But it's mainly just because it's the closest it goes into uber woke territory, and it's really, you have this subplot with one of the main characters being lesbian, and it doesn't play into the plot at all. It because like everything kind of stems off of G-Day to begin with, as far as the modern shit. And she was a teacher who was on a bus, and you find this out pretty early on in the show, so I'm not like really spoiling anything too much. She was a teacher, and she was on a bus with kids on the Golden Gate Bridge when Godzilla passed through the Golden Gate Bridge. And so she's trying to evacuate the bus, and she gets off the bus, and I think she gets like the first 2 kids off or whatever, but then the bus goes over. So she lost a whole, so she's been living with that ever since.
Right.
So that's kind of her thing that she's living with on G-Day. And then you find out later that she was in this lesbian relationship with another teacher. It's like, okay. Well, then so you go through this little subplot for a few minutes of her and this other teacher, and the other teacher's trying to pressure her into moving in with her. So clearly that doesn't work out, because then you jump to her sleeping with some other woman. And then you jump to G-Day, and you find out that she could have went on this bus with her ex-girlfriend or whatever. but instead she chose to go on this other bus. Now, if you would have told us what happened to the other bus, at least it would have made sense to be in the plot. They don't tell us. They just leave it hanging. It's like, so why is this even here? None of this makes any sense. None of it has any reason to be here.
They had to tell a story.
It literally takes a detour for like 10, 15 minutes on this plot that goes nowhere. Now, if we'd have learned that the other girlfriend died on the bus, then we would have made sense to why we learned this. Or if she lived, and maybe had she made the decision to go on the other bus, things would have been done. Like, they don't even play that out in the course of the show. So it's like, okay, at least if you'd have brought that back and had her talk about it, or because all she brings up is that she lost the bus. Okay, you showed that. So why did we take this detour for no reason?
Well, we had to explain where she's coming from because she's.
We already understand where she's coming from. The only thing that's changed now is we know that she eats pussy. That's the only thing that's changed. And it literally has nothing to do with the rest of the show. And the only problem that it does put in the show is because the other two characters that are there is you have, I don't want to ruin it. I'm not going to say anything more than this. Okay, so the other two characters actually were in a relationship before, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So what you have then is this problem is when the ex-girlfriend in that relationship and this chick are becoming more friendly, a lot of people I think are assuming that they're starting up some lesbian relationship when I don't think that's the case because they keep dangling the ex relationship, the straight relationship in the background still.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's like, I think people are just reading too much into them becoming friends, becoming good friends, right? There's no lesiness going on there. I don't know where people are getting this from.
I mean,
they detoured for 15 minutes to explain it. That's why.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I can't blame people. I was just going to say, but I can't blame people because you already put that in their minds. It's like, why would you put that in somebody's mind when it has nothing to do with the plot?
So they do that so Twitter can ship them, and that way they get free advertising.
There's something I do want to know a little bit. Did they ever talk about Tom Hiddleston's character and Brie Larson's character again?
Nope.
They never. See, that's one thread that they left dangling that I would like to know what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they at the end of the song when they're in the office and they explain it, you know, they
actually, I don't know if they do or not because there is some Skull Island stuff that I have not checked out. There is an animated show and a video game that they may be mentioned in or have play a part in. I don't know. If somebody out there knows, let me know. Because I've not seen the animated one.
Okay, that's like the biggest thing that aggravates me is because by the time we get to Godzilla versus Kong, there's no mention of them or what happened to them.
No.
I expected something to be said about them in that movie because we're in the present and Kong is off Skull Island and they have him in, you know, the government has him or whoever has him. I can't remember because it's been a while since I've seen it, but we don't know whatever happened to Tom Hiddleston's character or Brie Larson's character. And that kind of aggravates me.
Yeah, because they were setting that up like there was maybe going to be a sequel movie. Like they were, I mean, not a sequel, obviously, but
maybe they were going to be like
there was going to be another film with them. And then they don't go back to them at all. I mean, in nothing that I've seen, they've never been referenced again. And which was too bad because I actually like those two characters.
I didn't like Bree's character, but I like Tom Hiddleston's.
I like Tom Hiddleston's character. I was kind of interested in wondering what happened.
That's the thing. Before her bullshit, I didn't really even notice her in the movie. Like she was just there.
Yeah, she's
after her bullshit, every one of her little annoying things sticks out to you. Unfortunately, you're like, I mean, this is probably one of her least annoying roles, but
yeah, she doesn't annoy me in this.
Like her reaction to when the one guy thinks she should be a guy when she first comes up kind of bothered me, and then just some of her attitude and the way she acts throughout the movie here and there is kind of. It feels punched up now that I know who she is, but back then it just kind of just whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it didn't bother me then. But so I acknowledge that there's a bias now.
Okay, I get you. But I would have liked to know what happened to Tom Hiddleston's character, and also I kind of would have liked to seen what's his name's character again? The Dewey Cox guy. I can't think of his name.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, we kind of got his.
Yeah, we got his
story,
pleasure,
so.
but I kind of want to see that character again because he was so cool.
He was the best part of the movie.
It was great. But yeah,
You're a good bunch of guys to die with. We're gonna die.
He was great in that movie. He was great. But then like
skull crawlers. Why do they call them that? I don't know. I just thought it sounded neat.
Yeah.
Now that I say it out loud, it sounds stupid. Just forget I said it.
He was great. Him and Tom Hiddleston's character was the best two characters in that movie.
Yeah. Agreed.
I like John Goodman's character, especially now that I know where he's coming from too. Because in the movie, you're just kind of thrown into his character. But once you see, that's what I love about Monarch is it's filling in. Because that's the thing, and he even brings it up because they have this history of it's kind of started by these two scientists and the military guy who's sent as their escort, being the Kurt Russell young version character.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go on, one character, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but something happens to them. So then there's kind of a split in the group. But John Goodman's character is the one who kept fighting to keep Monarch alive. So by the time you get to Kong Skull Island, the government has cut all their funding, right? Mm-hmm. Because at that point, like, that's what the show is all about, is like, they're kind of stuck between how much do we tell the government and how much do we keep to ourselves, because we got to tell them enough to where they keep funding us, but we don't want them to destroy these monsters or fuck around with them and all that kind of shit, you know, or make things worse. And until we understand exactly what's going on and all this other stuff. And the show has like 4 or 5 subplots that it's all kind of intertwined together. So I understand where some people are kind of getting confused by the show because it does bounce around a lot of timelines. So I mean, you literally have like 2 timelines in the 50s with the same characters, and then you have the 2015 timeline. Then they think they bounce to like one other timeline for a short period of time. Like there's a few other interstitial bits here and there. So like you're bouncing around quite a bit throughout the show. But I mean, to me, other than the 5th episode where it really kind of lagged with the lesbian plot, like I know some people are talking about the other relationship was annoying too, but at least in that relationship, you understood why they're together. The part that bothered me so much more, other than just the May chick being annoying, was that she, spoilers, has some connection to other shit. And it's like, that's just a little too convenient for me.
This character.
Like when, you know what I mean? Like, because up to that point, like their being there makes sense. And then when there's too much of a plot convenience for them being there, you're kind of like,
I like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I don't want to spoil anything because it's like one of the twists in the show, but like you're just kind of like, because like when she's first brought in, she's an ex to one of the other characters. They want to find out what's on these old discs, and she's a hacker. So her being the other one guy's ex and her being a hacker makes perfect sense as to why they would go to her, right? Okay, that I'm fine with. It's just from there on out, you know, they have this back and forth thing about their relationship and why it didn't work. And then she's hiding this and that and the other. And then when you find out her big secret, you're like, yeah, that's a little too convenient. For plot reasons, but whatever. It's like, yeah. But anyway, enough on that. I'm looking forward to Godzilla X Kong, even though I know it's going to be batshit crazy. In fact, saw the toys already at the store today. So yeah.
It'd be interesting. Gonna be interesting. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on.
We're getting a new creature I saw today at the store.
Are we they created another new one?
Yeah.
I guess because they already did all the monsters, and the King of Monsters got rid of them all that quick.
You know, 6, it may feel like I did, but then once you actually dive into the show, it may not feel that way, because it's actually 10 episodes. 10 45-minute episodes. So you get a lot. Like, there's a lot going on in the show. I mean, sometimes it does meander a bit, but no, I thought it was pretty good. I know some people are really, really hating on it, though. So
yeah, I've heard mixed reviews.
To me, it's kind of more of the... See, that's what I was saying about the movies before, is they figured out with the movies by the time they got to Godzilla versus Kong that they got to make this shit more for kids. because kids love to buy the toys, etc., etc., etc. Now, Monarch, though, is a show made for adults. And you don't have to have seen Monarch to enjoy the movies. That's what I like about it. And it does fulfill to me what I thought S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to be for the MCU. And wasn't.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. sucked. Oh.
Because I didn't expect to see any superheroes, but I expected to see the fallout and the things surrounding it. It wasn't. It was all about Coulson shit. Sorry, Steven, you were about to say.
No, I was just about to say that was the problem with S.H.I.E.L.D. was that I don't know if it's just that they couldn't reference the movies. I don't get what that was about because I almost lost my train of thought. No. I was trying to say something there. What was it? It's just like it's that phrase that Troy Pacelli has. They don't allow the peas and carrots to touch.
Yeah, the movies
That's what happened.
Were able to affect the show, but they never really did.
The
Unfortunately,
show couldn't affect the movies, and it's just they screwed the pooch. I mean, it's okay on its own, but you got to remember, if you're going to take a character like Coulson, you're going to take him out of the movies, you're going to put him into the series, and then proceed to not reference the films. Kind of makes the whole exercise kind of pointless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so what do you got?
The final pick of the night. It's a DVD. This is actually on Blu-ray in a Shout Factory set, but I don't have that set. So I have The Haunted Palace, Vincent Price. After watching Dunwich Horror, I wanted to watch another one, and Vincent Price. I had never. I mean, I have seen this one, but this DVD actually looks pretty good. I was surprised about how this DVD looks. Actually, it's pretty damn good quality. The sound's a little wonky, a little bit, but it's from 2022, so I would assume this is a new scan of the movie. But no, I'm into Lovecraft right now because I'm a huge fan, and I always have been, and I've been trying to watch some stuff. It does say Edgar Allan Poe's The Haunted Palace, but it's actually a H.P. Lovecraft story because it says it's partially based off a poem by Edgar Allan Poe, but it's mostly based off of the story, The Mysterious Case of Charles Dexter Ward from H.P. Lovecraft. Essentially, it's about this warlock once that was burned in this small town of Arkham, and 120 years later, I believe, his ancestor, who is Vincent Price because he plays both roles, comes back to town to claim the mansion where he was doing where his great grandfather was doing all the experience, and he knows nothing about it, and he ends up getting possessed by him. And it's just the story sort of goes from there because the townspeople don't trust him. They feel like their town is cursed because of his great grandfather. They think he's come back, and actually he has come back. So, but it's a pretty good, solid, old school horror type movie. If you like the, from the 60s, 1963 movie. Like I said, I've been on a Lovecraft kick lately, so it's Lovecraft. It's got the Necronomicon. It's got Cthulhu. It's got the old gods. It's Roger Corman actually wrote and directed this, and it actually kind of connects almost to the Dunwich Horror. So that was one of the reasons why I watched it, because they're almost sort of similar into aspects of some of the stuff that they were doing. But yeah, there you go. I'm sure I'm the only one that's watched this one, so there's probably not going to be much talk about this. But there you have it.
Yeah, sadly, it's not one of the Vincent ones I know. Sorry.
Yeah, this is in the Vincent Price Collection Volume 1 from Shout Factory on Blu-ray, and there is a UK Blu-ray, Arrow Blu-ray, that was released of this, but I don't have a region-free Blu-ray player, which I really, really need to get, and I regret that I haven't got one yet. But this looks great. This actually, I can recommend this DVD. No, it's not Blu-ray, but it looks pretty damn good. It's definitely from the new scan of the film. But this is a good movie. I like this movie. I remember watching this on on TV, like on one of those like old Sci-Fi Channel type TV channels, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I had to buy it, and so I've been sort of on a Lovecraft kick a little lately. But yeah, they used Edgar Allan Poe's name because he was the one that was selling. This was actually the first attempt at adapting Lovecraft. So they slipped it in through an Edgar Allan Poe story. And then after, which that's what this says, riding high on their successful Edgar Allan Poe adaptations, Roger Corman and American International Pictures took on the Dunwich Horror. That's what it said. So like this was like their test drive before that movie. So there you guys have it. It's a fun movie. Oh, and it also has Lon Chaney in it in one of his final performances. It's not his final performances, but one of his final performances. Lon Chaney, the Wolfman. So it's pretty good movie. I dug it. It was Vincent Price is creepy as always, and he does a great duality of like being this like Ponce, uptight, rich aristocrat type guy who's come to this weird town and then is possessed by this like more of a cocky, arrogant, evil, like mad scientist type guy, even though he's supposed to be like a warlock. So yeah. That's what happens. But there you go. I knew. Like I said, I'm sure I was the only one that watches that because that's my speed. But there you go. Steven, I'm all done. Tom's all done. Did you have anything else you wanted to share before we close it out, or are you done too?
No, I'm good.
Good. All right.
Yep.
Look at that. We got it in under 3 hours. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Any final words from me?
Especially with me yakking about Godzilla forever.
Yeah, that's fine. At least we got to talk about your movies. I knew my movies kind of wouldn't be talked about, so other than by me. But
when it comes to Godzilla and Kong and rubber monsters and stuff,
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. That stuff too, and I'm also like
Godzilla.
I get it, man. I get it. But there you guys have it. I appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight, Steven, Tom, to everybody out in the chat. Thank you guys for hanging with us this long. Everybody watching at home, I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. With that being said, I got to find the clip here so I can get it ready. Where are you at? You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.